so he casually explained, "That's right, I made them." Rena immediately became flustered, scolding him. "No way! Why didn't you tell me all this time?" Eden whispered in embarrassment, "Because this is considered a commoner's trade, and I was especially afraid my parents would disapprove, so I kept it a secret from my whole family. I thought I should achieve something, first to be able to convince them." Rena looked at Eden's carefree smile, and her heart ached as she softly called out, "Eden, I'll support you. When this shop opens, I'll come buy clothes. I have a lot of money now so I can buy them myself." He laughed and teased her. "Thanks to you, I'll be rich in no time, huh, Rena? But I won't take your money. I'll take something else." His words made her repeat doubtfully, "Something else?" Eden gently held out his hand to Rena, proposing, "Even if everyone else objects, I just need you to keep supporting me. I want someone who will always be on my side forever." She looked troubled and softly called out to Eden, "Not taking money for something so obvious isn't the right way to do business. A lifetime discount will be enough." Eden was taken aback by Rena's innocence and nonchalance. He broke into a bright smile. "Haha, all right, let's do that then." Where no one could see, Rena secretly felt a warmth in her heart. "A secret that only Eden told me. Hearing someone's secrets is so exciting. It feels like Eden trusts and relies on me, and more, I feel like it's been this way from the start. I'm so happy because it feels like we're becoming a family." Rena and Eden returned to the carriage together, where someone was happily hugging the gift that Rena had given her, exclaiming, "The cloak and gloves are so warm and soft. This is the first time I've ever used something of such good quality. Thank you so much, my lady." Rena looked up and said cheerfully, "I should be the one thanking you for liking it so much." In the end, I still couldn't meet Felix. He seemed so busy. I guess we won't be able to see each other for a while. I really should have gone to meet him somewhere else. Lucy screamed in frustration as if she was going crazy. Ugh, this is so annoying. If this was going to be so hard, you should have said so sooner. Why do we have to do this anyway? I'm not doing it. Seeing her constant complaining, Catherine spoke up to explain. "I heard we get to keep all the gold we dig up." "I don't see any gold, just a pile of rocks. Is there really any gold here?" "Yes." Winter, standing nearby, quickly reassured the mother and daughter in a soft voice. "Of course there is. It's just because we don't have any experience." "Well now, that's enough for today. Let's continue again tomorrow." Lucy yelled in frustration. "What? Continue tomorrow? I'm not doing this anymore. How can we possibly continue this godforsaken work? Just hire people and get it over with." "What, we have to do it ourselves?" Catherine shot her an annoyed look. "Good grief. You're acting like a child. It's because those hired hands can't be trusted, those wretched people. They know the gold is worth more than their wages, so they'll just grab it all and run. Even if it costs a little more, we should have hired professionals. But now, forget gold. We don't even have the money to hire laborers. I shouldn't have trusted that person. Ha!" Just then, an angry voice suddenly rang out. "Hey, what do you people think you're doing here?" Lucy stared straight at the arrogant, chin-up crowd. "I'm already pissed as hell, so what is this now?" The tough-looking guy who just walked in calmly spoke up. "Do you have any idea whose land this is to be trespassing so casually? If you don't leave immediately, I will have to arrest you all." Then Winter stood up straight and firmly declared, "Of course I know. I am the Count of Blooming, so this is obviously my land. Who do you think you are to dare speak of arresting me?" The man who had just been so arrogant immediately lowered his voice and explained fearfully, "My apologies, Count, but how can a knowledgeable man like yourself say such things? This mining territory, along with all the surrounding lands, belongs to Duke Percy." He was instantly struck speechless with astonishment. What did you just say?" "I purchased this place not long ago. I even have the paperwork." The man looked skeptically at the document he held out. "You say you bought it?" Winter announced confidently in a sure tone. "Of course, it even has the court's seal on it." But the next words from the man's mouth immediately made Winter's smile vanish. His eyes widened. "What? My Lord Count, this is not the seal of the Northern Court." The man continued hesitantly. "It seems there has been a mistake. Our mission is to arrest anyone who trespasses here. However, you are a count, so if this happens again, I will have no choice but to report it to the Duke." Winter stood frozen in place, repeatedly muttering in a trembling voice. "How can this be?" He collapsed to his knees. "This can't be happening, there's no way." Catherine, standing beside him, suddenly burst into maniacal laughter. "Ha ha ha, I never should have believed a word you said." Lucy, also stunned and unable to believe her ears, asked again, "What are you talking about? Is our family bankrupt again?" Right after that, the shameful news spread at lightning speed. News of Count Blooming being scammed spread across the capital in an instant. Given Walter Blooming's reputation for terrible judgment, the other nobles just clicked their tongues and said they knew something like this would happen again. A rumor never lasts for long. It is eventually forgotten as a new topic of gossip appears for them to talk about. King Louis of the Benedictus Kingdom has passed away. He died before he could have the son he always wanted. According to the results of the council's vote, the next to ascend the Benedictus throne is Duke Lloyd. Lloyd suddenly turned to Felix and complained, "You didn't even offer me a single word of congratulations." He indifferently lifted his teacup to drink, then quietly replied, "It's hard for me to congratulate you when this just gives us more to worry about." He suddenly got agitated and questioned Felix. "Worry about what? Are you afraid I'm going to ruin the country? That's going too far. Do I really seem like that kind of person to you?" But Felix spoke softly to calm Lloyd down. "It's the complete opposite. I'm afraid you're going to work yourself to death." He then pretended to be annoyed and quickly turned away, avoiding Felix's eyes. "Honestly, why worry about something like that? Weren't you the one who always said, 'Is the king supposed to be the hardest worker?'" Felix gently placed the teacup in his hand, back down on the table. "A king might desire that, but it's not what the Duke wants. You must be very worried. Because of the gap between ideals and reality, sometimes you'll have to nod in agreement, even to things you know are wrong. Everything must be handled privately." Lloyd let out a sigh. Hearing those words from Felix, he thought to himself that this guy was genuinely worried. "Hey," Felix suddenly laid into him with a taunt. "I'm sure you can't just suddenly go and see Nisa anymore, which of course, is great news for me." Lloyd frowned in annoyance. "But hey, is it your turn to worry about me now?" Felix was confused by his words. Lloyd glanced at him and continued softly, "I have my coronation ceremony soon, and I also have to propose to Charlotte. She's the type of lady who loves flashy things, so what better time could there be than during the coronation ceremony, right? I'm going to propose in such a grand way that all the other women will be jealous of her. Even Rena will be jealous." At that, Felix tensed up uncomfortably, and Lloyd stuck his tongue out to tease him. "Sorry for beating you to it." A tense Felix turned his head away and then offered a weak rebuttal. "Lady Scarlet could still turn you down, you know." Lloyd immediately clutched his stomach and roared with laughter. "Ah ha ha, that's ridiculous. It seems it's been a while since I've taught you a proper lesson." Elsewhere, a door suddenly burst open. Then, Rena peeked her head into Evelyn's room and asked, "Mother, I heard you were looking for me?" She happily turned her head, quickly beckoning her over. "Rena, come here, there's a very important invitation for you." Rena pointed to herself, confused. "For me?" "Yes." Evelyn nodded cheerfully, then held out a luxurious-looking letter to her. "That's right, go ahead and open it." Rena took the letter from her and carefully pulled out 2 invitation cards from inside. She carefully read every single line written on them. Rena suddenly gasped, covering her mouth. "This is... Mother, I'm invited to the coronation ceremony. And I'm also invited to the Obio banquet after," Evelyn thought to herself in amazement. The Obio banquet is such a lavish party. It's a tradition from long ago, and they only invite those with the closest ties to the royal family. It's to wish for the new king's future reign to bring peace and prosperity to the nation. This banquet is only held on the day of the coronation, and since Felix and the Duke have been close since they were children, I had anticipated this, but for Rena to be invited when she isn't even engaged, let alone married. And Evelyn gently stroked her head, saying with emotion, "You really are my lucky charm. I'm so proud of you. Heh. I'm so nervous, Mom. A dress for an occasion like that. I've got it." Rena excitedly rushed to Eden's secret house. The door burst open, and she loudly announced to the person inside, "Eden, I'm here." Eden smiled as she watched her walk in, calling out gently, "Come on in, my cruel client. The one who sent back 2 whole dresses in just half a month is none other than you, Rena." Rena gave an awkward smile, then forced a laugh. "Heh, I guess it was a difficult request." His face darkened as he recalled his mood when he received the letter, a letter with only a few neatly written lines. But it shocked him so much he spat out the water in his mouth. "Eden, I need a dress to wear to the coronation ceremony and the Obio banquet, and I absolutely have to wear a dress designed by you, Eden. I'm counting on you." Rena quickly looked down, rummaging through her bag. "So to repay your kindness, I've prepared a very generous gift." Eden's gaze shifted as he stared intently at her. He crossed his arms and said nonchalantly, "You don't have to." Rena was shocked and stammered, "What? But..." Eden sincerely voiced his thoughts. "Because you wearing a dress I made is already repayment enough." Huh? Rena was confused by his statement. She suddenly realized something and asked excitedly, "Ah, could it be?" He nodded slightly and replied, "Yes, that's right. I'll be counting on you." "Even though I know my brother is still in the capital, he didn't come with you?" Rena answered honestly. "Ah, he said he'd come to pick me up tomorrow." Then Eden secretly smiled to himself behind Rena's back, seeing her grinning from ear to ear. If he saw this reaction, he'd be absolutely thrilled. Just then, Dion poked her head in to announce, "My lady, if we don't head back soon, we'll be late for dinner." Hearing that, Rena immediately started to panic. "Oh, the time, I get it, okay. Eden, thank you for the dress. I'll bring you a generous reward, so please wait for it. And don't overwork yourself." Eden stood alone in the room, waving goodbye to Rena. In reality, as for that so-called reward, Rena just being happy is enough. I'm not really the type to care much about other people, but the moment she looked at us with that face, I found I couldn't just ignore her. A kind person who sincerely cares about others. I think she deserves to be happy. So, yes, I hope you'll be happier than anyone else, Rihanna. And of course, that annoying brother of mine too. He gave a helpless smile, recalling Felix's grumpiness. If you were here right now, what would you do? Several days later, Rena arrived at the banquet hall. A magnificent, dazzling scene immediately met her eyes. Felix was leaning against a nearby carriage, quietly waiting for Rena's arrival. She rushed over to him, then said shyly, "Sorry, I'm late." His eyes suddenly widened in amazement, his cheeks flushing the moment he saw Rena. She was wearing a pink dress that perfectly highlighted her captivating beauty. Rena called out to him again, seeing his dazed face Felix. At that, Felix became flustered, hastily covering his mouth and turning away as he awkwardly explained, "Ah, sorry. You're just so beautiful that I had a bit of a wicked thought." Rena tilted her head back in surprise. "What did you say?" "Oh, that's a compliment, right? Thank you. A wicked thought?" Felix hurriedly walked closer to Rena, urging, "We're going to be late if we keep this up. Let's get in the carriage." She gave a forced laugh and obediently agreed. "You're right, gosh. Let's get going." The two of them got into the carriage, and it slowly began to roll forward. The silence inside was almost deafening, so Felix tilted his head and asked, breaking the strange atmosphere, "That dress, did you have it made with your mother?" Rena looked down at her dress. "Ah, this one." She lowered her head happily, a small smile playing on her lips. Rena recalled the moment she awkwardly asked him about Eden, but everyone in Eden's household answered so casually. "You can just say, I was the one who sewed it. I was planning on telling you eventually anyway, since it is the truth." Rena then honestly answered Felix's question. "Eden was the one who sewed it for me." His mood suddenly soured. "Eden did that? I've never heard that my little brother is a designer." Felix's attitude filled her with dread. Could it be that Felix disapproves too? But his answer was the complete opposite of what Rena expected. "If you keep getting so close to my little brother, I'm going to get jealous." "Ah." His reaction made Rena flustered as she thought to herself, "Ah, he's so cute." Just then, someone outside made a respectful announcement. "Young master, young lady, we are about to arrive." Inside, Felix was still bashfully looking away, not daring to meet Rena's eyes. He suddenly let out a loud cough, then cleared his throat and said, "Ahem, well, just so you know." "Yes," Rena replied quickly and excitedly. "Oh, yes! I'll be sure to remember that." Their carriage continued to move deeper inside. The gatekeeper outside quickly bowed respectfully as they entered. "Lord Felix, Lady Rena, I've completed the check. You may enter." Rena looked around curiously and remarked, "They're much stricter this time, aren't they?" From behind, Felix gently whispered an explanation in her ear. "Since it's a coronation ceremony, it can't be compared to regular parties or festivals." The figure of a girl suddenly appeared. Then Charlotte excitedly called out to Rena, "Lady Rena, I've been waiting for you." Rena was startled. She turned her head to look at her and greeted politely, "La, Lady Charlotte." "What's with the lady stuff?" Charlotte suggested casually. "Just call me Charlotte, we're friends after all." Alex immediately turned to Felix in surprise and pressed, "Hey Felix, have Rena and Lady Charlotte become friends already?" He answered nonchalantly, "It would seem so." At that, Alex and Ivelli suddenly became emotional and exclaimed, "Another one of Rena's friends has appeared." From behind them, Felix reminded them helplessly, "You're being way too dramatic, both of you." Just then, a staff member in charge of coordinating the event stepped forward and announced loudly, "Your attention, please, as the ceremony is about to begin. We ask that you please pause your conversations and return to your seats." Scarlett intimately slung an arm around Rena's shoulders. Then she gestured towards her and teased, "Look at that. The ceremony starts the moment you arrive. You're such a slowpoke." Rena stammered in embarrassment, I'm sorry." Scarlett turned to leave with a look of regret. "Oh well, I guess it can't be helped." "Well then, let's talk later at the Obio banquet." Rena quickly replied to her, "Oh yes." And Rena then returned to her family, saying sheepishly, "Sorry to have kept everyone waiting." Alex suddenly gave a cheerful thumbs up. "If it's for something like this, your mother and I would gladly wait for 100 years. The ceremony began with a voice. Solemn and with slow, deliberate steps, but filled with immense authority, His Majesty made his entrance, and Lloyd solemnly made his way into the banquet hall. Rena stared at him with her jaw dropped in amazement, exclaiming, "Wow, he's like a completely different person." Felix suddenly covered his mouth and whispered in her ear, "If you keep admiring him like that, I might get jealous." Rena immediately and awkwardly pressed her lips together, not daring to say another word. Oh, up ahead, Lloyd was kneeling before a representative bestowing authority in the grand hall. The man stepped forward and gently took the ruler's crown, and then approached to place it on his head. Then Lloyd stood straight as the man made the declaration. From this moment on, Duke Lloyd Conwell is hereby appointed the 5th King of Benetitus. Lloyd placed both hands over his chest, and then sincerely declared to everyone present, "With the sacred authority bestowed upon me, I wish to make Benetitus prosperous." and even more peaceful. However, that is a bit difficult to do alone, is it not? Lloyd suddenly started walking in a certain direction. He suddenly stopped right in front of Scarlet, calling her name softly. Lady Scarlet Tenenis, will you protect Benetitus with me? Only you can do this with me. Immediately, the guest stared in awe at the dreamlike scene. Rena did too, but Felix beside her suddenly rolled his eyes, silently judging him. Yes. In the center of the party, Scarlet was teary-eyed with emotion. She tilted her head happily and said, "Yes, I will." The two of them embraced amidst the celebratory cheers from the crowd. Rena covered her face, happily thinking to herself, "Lady Charlotte, this is just so wonderful!" Felix suddenly grew flustered seeing her expression, and he awkwardly whipped his head away, while raising a hand to scratch his neck. That night, Rena, adorned in elegant and beautiful jewelry, had her eyes tightly shut. Someone said to her, "Thank you, Rena. You can rest now. We'll be back soon." Diane excitedly waved goodbye. To her with a reminder, "Have a wonderful chat and then come back, milady." Outside the banquet hall, Felix was standing quietly, leaning against a wall and waiting for his girl to appear. And so, Rena hurriedly lifted her dress and walked over, calling out awkwardly, "Felix! Have you been waiting long?" "I'm sorry." He gently reassured her. "Not at all, I just got here a moment ago." "That dress really suits you. It's beautiful." Rena shyly accepted his compliment. "Heh, thank you." "Ah." Felix reached out and took Rena's hand, suggesting, "It's a little crowded here, isn't it? Let's go somewhere quieter," she happily agreed. "Ah, yes, I think so too." Felix led the way to a romantic-looking door over on the side. Together they opened the door and stepped outside. Rena leaned against the balcony railing, then looked up at the sky with an excited expression. "Oh wow, there are so many stars tonight." Felix, standing shoulder to shoulder with her, remarked, "You're right. The weather is perfect for such a wonderful day." Rena was still lost in the sweet romance of Lloyd and Scarlet from earlier. It's true, a proposal on Coronation Day. What better day could there be? Felix's gaze suddenly shifted to her. He hesitated before asking, "Do you want a public proposal like that too, Rena, in front of so many people?" Rena immediately grew flustered and pointed to herself. "Me? No way, no way! I'd probably run away from the embarrassment. Just thinking about that, many people looking at me makes my heart race and my head spin." Felix let out a soft chuckle at her amusing reaction. "That's a relief. I'd find that difficult too. So if you wanted a proposal like that, I don't know what I would have done." That's how worried I was. Rena blushed at Felix's proposal, as he suddenly took something out of his pocket. "It might not be a formal engagement ceremony, but I've always wanted to give you this ring. It's a little late, but will you accept it?" "Yes." The sparkling ring was immediately presented before Rena's astonished gaze, and Felix gently slipped it onto Rena's slender finger, adding with a firm promise, "Next time I'll give you an even more beautiful one if I can." Rena shyly stared, intently at the ring now resting on her finger. Felix suddenly raised his hand and gently touched her cheek. He then leaned in and gave Rena a gentle kiss on the forehead, causing her whole body to immediately tense up, with her face flushing bright red, and Felix chuckled at her vivid expression. He then turned towards the door and said, "I'm going to greet the others for a bit, and then I'll be back. Rena, you should get inside before you catch a cold." She nodded lightly, stammering, "Ah, yes. And for the ring, thank you." Rena brought her hand to her chest, gently touching the ring, then held her hand up to the bright moonlight, and then exclaimed in delight, "It's so beautiful. I've never really thought about an engagement ceremony, but this is more than enough, Felix." Just as Rena returned to the party, Charlotte cheerfully ran up to her, calling out, "Miss Rena, there you are." Rena quickly looked towards Charlotte and said cheerfully, "Miss Charlotte, congratulations." Charlotte smiled happily and then extended an invitation. "Thank you, Rena. You absolutely must come to the wedding." Rena agreed excitedly. "Of course, I would love to be there." Then Charlotte suddenly exclaimed in surprise, "The dress you wore this morning was already beautiful, but this one is just as elegant. Where did you get it? I'm dying to know." Hearing this, Rena immediately switched into business mode. "This is my chance to promote it." Eden's words suddenly popped into her head. "Just having you wear it is payment enough for me, Rena." "Yes, back then," she had exclaimed in surprise. "Ah, you mean?" And he had nodded lightly, explaining, "Yes, that's right. I'm counting on you." "Yes." Rena clenched her fists and thought confidently to herself, "My very first referral is Miss Charlotte. This is a huge success already, Eden." "This was made by Eden Despencer." Charlotte repeated the name doubtfully. "Despencer?" Rena excitedly continued her introduction. "Yes, he's the second son of the Despencer family, and he just opened a shop in the capital." She covered her mouth with her hand, smiling with interest. "Oh, I see. If I go with you, Rena, I'm sure he'll make mine extra special, right?" "Yes," Rena quickly and happily offered. "Yes, of course, I can go with you anytime." Just then, two young ladies from nearby approached, and one of them spoke up. "Hey, Miss Charlotte, when were you finally going to introduce us?" Charlotte, suddenly remembering, exclaimed, "Oh my goodness, where are my manners? Rena, these are my friends." Claire quickly introduced herself to Rena. "It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Claire Marigold." Then Sylvia, beside her, also spoke politely. "I've heard so much about you. I'm Sylvia Cavendish." She then tilted her head with a laugh and explained, "At the coronation ceremony, I wanted to introduce these friends to you. So I waited for you for a while. They both said they wanted to be friends with you, Rena." And Rena, confused, pointed at herself in bewilderment. "For me too? So that means I have 2 more friends now," Claire said excitedly, getting close to Charlotte. Lady Charlotte has already said everything. She glanced away and remarked, "I was the one who made the introductions. So that's only natural, isn't it?" "Ah." Rena lowered her head in embarrassment, not knowing how to address them. Lady Charlotte, Claire, and Sylvia," Charlotte readily suggested. "Just feel free to call me by my name. It's just us here right now. And when our group is by ourselves, I'm Charlotte. That's Claire and Sylvia. And the same goes for you. You're just simply Rena." But Rena still hesitated, lowering her head and asking in a small, self-conscious voice, "Can someone like me really be so close with all of you?" But Charlotte and the other 2 girls stood cheerfully in front of Rena and exclaimed, "We want to get along with you, Rena." She was so moved, her eyes welled up. "I'm so honored." Claire started teasing Charlotte. "Oh my, look what you did. You made our Lady Charlotte here cry." "Hey now, Claire. You're only calling me Lady Charlotte to tease me, aren't you?" "Yep." Charlotte suddenly cupped her face and cheerfully suggested, "Well, now that introductions are over, how about you tell us a little about your fiancé now?" Rena blurted out, surprised. "Pardon?" Sylvia leaned in curiously and said, "We're curious. Is he as amazing as the rumors say?" Then, Claire excitedly pointed and repeated the rumor. "Indifferently kind and subtly gentle. Most importantly, he's super popular. For his handsome looks, he's the one who saved Lady Melody from falling down the stairs, isn't he?" Sylvia nodded slightly and recounted. "That's why she fell for Felix so hard that she almost broke off her own engagement." Charlotte wondered doubtfully. "But she got married in the end, right?" Claire immediately shared the gossip she knew. She said she fell in love all over again after seeing her fiancé get jealous and sob his heart out. It was just too cute. They buzzed with excitement, leaving Rena standing to the side in astonishment. She thought to herself, "Sharing stories about this kind of thing, I think this is a first for me. So Felix is actually this popular with the ladies. He's handsome and tall, so I guess it's only natural, but he's also very kind. So who wouldn't fall for him?" The 3 girls were suddenly satisfied that their plan had worked, snickering. "You're so jealous. It's written all over your face." Sylvia suddenly voiced a question. "But I always get the feeling that Felix keeps his distance, you know?" Claire closed her eyes, exclaiming with an excited expression, That's right. He only has eyes for Rena." Charlotte tilted her head happily. Uh-huh. Lloyd says that often too, that Rena is also the type who only has eyes for one person." They continued to chat excitedly, while Rena was getting flustered off to the side. "I love it. Don't you dare laugh, Lady Charlotte. Felix only likes me." Amidst the noisy and bustling atmosphere of the party, Lucy, outside, suddenly pointed towards Rena's group and excitedly told the gatekeeper, "Over there, the blonde girl standing with Lady Charlotte. That's my little sister. We were supposed to come together. Why did she take the invitation and go alone like that? That kid has always been a bit clumsy, haha." But the guard remained firm and said, Regardless, I still have to check according to procedure." She immediately snapped, "What more solid proof could you possibly need? Get out of my way before I report this insolence of yours to His Majesty and Lady Charlotte." After that, she successfully snuck into the lavish party. Lucy's eyes scanned all over Rena, judging her silently. "Spending money like water again these past 2 days. I wonder how much that dress cost. Look at her. Since when did they get so close?" Everything about Rena, her family, men, and fortune, was all laid out for her. The villa for the future daughter-in-law. If it weren't for you, all of it would have been mine. Lucy resentfully watched the smile on Rena's face. "Oh, have they gotten closer now?" "Someone like Venus. From now on, she'll get even closer to Charlotte, won't she? She'll definitely be invited to the wedding. And all the private parties at the royal palace, she'll easily befriend the ladies of prestigious noble houses, and gradually become an influential figure in high society. Someone like her would never understand the value of that, while I, who understands that value, have to endure this. Does she even understand how pathetic I feel? Having to sneak a peek at the coronation like a rat? I wasn't even supposed to be able to come here. But you gotta watch the coronation from the front row, and we're even invited to the OBO party. Why is it only you? Who gets to live such a golden life?" She clenched the fabric of her dress, and Lucy bit her lip, reminding herself, "Calm down, Rosie. Be patient. Remember why you risked coming here, even knowing you could be caught. The Blooming family has gone bankrupt. The mansion I'm living in will be sold soon, and the servants we worked so hard to rehire have all been fired. When I asked my father if we had to return to the Trakow forest, he couldn't answer. The reason was obvious. We have to go to an even worse place. Today is probably the last time I can ever visit the capital. Living in the countryside with no hair salons, no boutiques, and no high society? Don't be ridiculous. I could never live like that. Everything has crumbled. Lucy suddenly stormed over to Rena, who was by herself, after Charlotte and her friends left. She grabbed Rena's wrist tightly, her mind made up. I will never live like that. Then, as her wrist was suddenly grabbed, Rena looked on in confusion as she was pulled away. She thought to herself uncertainly, "Rosie?" Lucy aggressively dragged Rena straight to a nearby terrace. Annoyed, Rena quickly yanked her hand away and demanded loudly, "Let go of me! How did you get in here?" She smoothed her own hair, saying angrily, "Ha, that's right. I'm not even good enough to be invited, am I? Still as arrogant as ever, huh? Alright, I'll just say what I need to say and leave, so let's get this over with." Rena glanced nervously back at the party hall, then breathed a sigh of relief when she saw everyone was far away. "I can't let them find out. I don't want anyone to know this side of me." Lucy pointed right in her face, demanding loudly, "You, that villa in KR, give it to me." "What? The villa in KR?" Lucy repeated with an irritated growl. "Damn it, are you going to play dumb now?" "I heard everything. The Viscount gave you 4 villas." Rena frowned, utterly confused. What the hell was she talking about? Annoyed, Lucy cleared her throat coldly. "What? Does she really not know anything?" She then turned away smugly. "It was all just bragging. There's no way someone like you would be given something like that. I guess the rich will be rich." The scale of her lies is on another level. It's so ridiculous, I can't believe it. Rena, maintaining her cold demeanor, called out, "I don't know what you're talking about, but it seems we're finished here, so I'm leaving." Lucy once again grabbed Rena's wrist tightly and screamed, "What? You've got a lot of nerve. Where do you think you're going when I'm not finished talking?" Rena whipped her head around. "Seriously, why are you doing this to me? Whether it's villas or anything else, I have nothing to give you." "No. So what if I don't have any houses? Did you just come here to cause a scene?" Hearing this, Lucy became even more furious. "What? Hey, who do you think got you into that house? Aren't you grateful?" Rena smirked mockingly and repeated, "Grateful? You're the one who should be. It's because of me that you got such a large sum of money." She leaned towards Rena, weakly protesting. You think you can just say that and be done? Hey, if I had gone instead, I would have received much more than you." She gave her a cold look, then nonchalantly turned away. "Oh, is that so? Then you should go and get it. Weren't you the one who looked down on the Viscount's family?" Why the sudden regret? Lucy stood frozen in place, speechless at Rena's words. "This is really..." She relented, her voice trailing off. "Ha, fine. How much money do you have?" Rena asked, dubiously, confused. "What?" Lucy held out her hand and ordered shamelessly, "Give me all the money you have, and I'll leave in peace." Rena looked at her with utter contempt. "Ha, have you lost all sense of shame? Look at me. Do you really think I'm carrying any money in this dress?" She growled, pointing towards the party. "Then go ask your amazing husband. He's got plenty of money, doesn't he?" Rena was stunned by her words. "You are unbelievable." Rena wearily buried her face in her hands and sighed. "Ha, I'm so embarrassed I could just die." Lucy, having lost all sense of decorum, shrieked threateningly, "Do you want me to embarrass you even more? Just give it to me." Just then, a dark voice echoed from the doorway. "What is it you keep demanding?" Lot tilted his head and questioned her. "You weren't invited to this party, so why are you here?" Lucy immediately became meek and explained in a low voice, "Oh, I just had a small matter to discuss with Rena." Scarlett, seeing right through her, smirked and said, "A small matter doesn't warrant entering a private space like this. And you know that full well." Lucy's face turned pale with fear as she cursed under her breath. "Damn it, that bastard." Scarlett stared her down, her voice firm with threat. "You should leave quietly on your own before you're humiliatingly dragged out of here." Afterwards, Lucy left hesitantly. Rena hung her head in shame, unable to look at Scarlett. She ended up seeing it all. "I'm sorry for causing a disturbance," she called out softly, pained, Rena. But she remained lost in self-reproach, whispering, "It was the same at the gallery. I keep showing you my unsightly side." Scarlett said earnestly, sincerity shining in her eyes, "Rena, this doesn't make me see you any differently. Everyone has their own, that they don't want others to see. So it can either drive them apart or bring them closer." Scarlett gently took her wrist. "We'll become closer." The corners of Rena's eyes began to well up with tears. She looked down, confused, and asked, "Why are you treating me like this?" Scarlett glanced away slightly. "I'm a good judge of character." Rena looked up at her, surprised, with tears still glistening in her eyes. At that, Scarlett quickly hugged Rena as she burst into tears. "Oh, why are you crying like this? Both at the exhibition and now today. Since it's a family matter, I didn't intend to interfere, but I couldn't just stand by and watch her be attacked with such attitudes and words. Besides, I have a reason for trusting you this much." Rena tilted her head and repeated quizzically, "A reason?" Scarlett then held her hand tightly, half joking and half serious, and said, "Someone who paints pictures like you do, Rena, can't possibly be a bad person." Deep in her heart, Scarlett always carried a thought, was being born a daughter of the Taylor Louis family, whom everyone envied, truly a blessing. Born imperfect due to a lung disease from an early age, I was diagnosed as unlikely to live past the age of 16, but thanks to my family's love and determination, I made it past my 16th birthday. Feeling like I had won the battle against my illness, I wandered freely for a while and collapsed many times. Even though the illness still lingered in my body, I was determined not to surrender. In Rena's transformative paintings, I could see that same fighting spirit. Ah, this person is also fighting fiercely against something, and this empathy is the source of my trust and goodwill toward Rena. Someone who paints pictures like that can't be a bad person. Meanwhile, Felix, who had learned of the situation, hardened his expression with anger, looking displeased at the figure of that woman hastily leaving. "I can't believe she got in here. I need to deal with this quickly." Just as Scarlett stepped outside, she was startled to see him. "Oh my," Felix then exclaimed awkwardly. "Ah." But she didn't ask much and instead urged him on. "You, should go inside quickly." Felix bowed his head to thank her, then walked away lightly with a pleasant thought. Just as the rumors say, she's a very perceptive person. Felix walked inside, then gazed softly at her silent back and called out gently, "Rena, are you okay?" Rena turned her head and replied in a small voice, "Felix." He quickly walked over to her and reassured her. "You didn't do anything wrong, Rena, so no matter what happens, don't blame yourself." But she still couldn't cheer up and kept her head down silently. "Thank you. But I don't know what kind of situation will come up next. I was determined to overcome it, but when things turn out like this, I get a little worried." "Yes." Felix suddenly pulled Rena into a gentle embrace, then said softly, "It's okay. Everything will be all right." Rena relaxed against his chest, closing her eyes. "Yes, thank you." Felix held her tightly with a determined look in his eyes. "Everything will really be okay, Rena. I'll take care of everything." Inside the luxurious mansion, two warm hearts leaned gently against each other. Rena suddenly remembered something, looked up and said hesitantly, What about your parents?" "I know, I'll keep it a secret." Her gaze flickered, surprised by something she saw. "Oh, it's snowing," Felix gently reminded her. "It's going to get cold. Shall we go inside?" "Yes." Rena laughed brightly and agreed. "Yes, let's hurry inside." Then the two of them walked inside together, ready to rejoin the party. Lloyd suddenly called out towards them. Just as Charlotte said, "So, you all are here." Rena quickly bowed respectfully. "Ah, congratulations, Your Majesty." He replied casually, "Haha, thank you. I hope I'll have something to congratulate you on soon, too." Scarlett also added excitedly, "That's right, we were in a hurry so we had our ceremony in the winter, but the weather is so beautiful in the spring, it's really perfect." "So?" Rena became flustered, her face flushing. Ah, just then Felix spoke up to help her. "Has the date been decided yet?" Lloyd looked at him and said casually, "Oh, the high priest said the 9th day of the first month of the new year is a good day, so I'm thinking about that date." What a sly fox, trying to get out of it so sneakily. Hearing this, Rena covered her mouth in surprise. "There's not much time left. You must have so much to prepare, right?" But Scarlett just exclaimed casually, "I just have to move in, so there's not much to do, hee. When I move here, Rena, you have to come over often and visit, okay?" She happily agreed to her suggestion right away. "Of course, I'll visit often." Lloyd then suddenly stepped closer, wrapping his arm around Scarlett's waist, and said politely to Rena, all right. We would be very grateful if you visited often and spent time with us." Scarlett gave him a cold look. "You're not allowed to join us," he asked in alarm. "What? Why? This guy is so stiff, he's no fun at all." Felix, standing nearby, stared helplessly at Lloyd and remarked, "You really don't hesitate to say anything in front of other people." But he ignored Felix's words and became agitated, gesturing wildly as he said to Scarlett, "I bought you a whole bunch of paintings, so let me join." She pointed right at his face and demanded, "Oh my God, you bought a few paintings and you're making a big deal out of it. You're so cheap, you miser." The scene unfolding before them made Rena cover her mouth and start to laugh. Her smile suddenly made Felix lower his gaze to look at her. He blushed, the corners of his mouth lifting into a small smile. The couple, Lloyd and Scarlett, were also beaming just like that, even though they still bickered from time to time. Scarlett covered her mouth, giggling at his reaction. The luxurious mansion under the enchanting night sky and the happy people standing together were laughing heartily. Later that day, Rena and Felix's carriage was rolling along on the road home. Rena suddenly glanced over at him and whispered quietly, "I heard you're very popular." Felix, taken aback by her question, blurted out in confusion, "What?" Rena pouted and turned her head the other way. Repeating her question clearly, "I heard that you're very popular with the young ladies. Everyone is talking about all the good things you do." A flustered Felix hurriedly explained in a clumsy way. That's all nonsense, just trivial matters that have been blown out of proportion. Rena continued. They even talk about your face. Felix tensed up under her questioning gaze. She grumpily instructed him in an unhappy tone. You can't do anything about your face, but don't be so overly kind anymore. It makes me jealous. You know. Felix quickly cupped his face at her words, secretly pleased, and then vowed in a low voice. Okay, I'll be sure to remember that. Rena tilted her head with a radiant smile, and Felix glanced back at her, feeling the same way. The two of them finally returned to their mansion. Felix kindly escorted Rena to her room, then said softly, You must be exhausted. Go wash up and get some rest. Rena then obediently replied, Okay, good night, Felix. He happily answered back, Good night to you too, Rena. After that, Felix walked away decisively, his serious expression returning. Felix walked down the stairs, his steps suddenly halting when he saw something. Rena's parents were sitting on the sofa, curiously looking around, waiting for someone. He stood coldly behind them, his hand tightening on the back of the sofa. Felix's annoyed voice questioned them, sending a chill down their spines. Are you two waiting for someone? Winter's eyes widened in surprise as he glanced at him. Hey, when did you get here? I'm sure I didn't see you walk past us. We came in through the mansion's rear entrance. I heard some uninvited guests have been camped out in the living room since this morning. And Winter forced a smile, then said gently, Haha, is that so? That must be quite the situation. Uninvited guests? Felix tilted his head in annoyance and remarked, He doesn't even realize it's him, and Winter politely continued, Well, we came to see Rena. Just tell us which room is Rena's. We want to have a family chat, so just let us know, and we'll head up there. Felix tilted his head and nonchalantly said, Is that so? But what a shame. You won't be able to see Rena today. Mr. Winter panicked and shouted, What? What did you say? Why are you telling me I can't see my own daughter? He frowned in annoyance, threatening them. If you raise your voice again, I will have you removed. The man quickly knew his place and shut his mouth. Sir, wasn't that a bit too cold? If I startled you, I sincerely apologize. Felix let out a tired, cold sigh and thought to himself, Before the rumors could spread through the capital, I received a report from the man I sent to the Homegood estate. I heard Walter Homegood was scammed in a gold mine deal. If that venture had succeeded, for the rest of his life, he would have never shown his face in front of Rena again. But this hopeless man has once again suffered a business loss. I figured he'd come to Rena for money soon, but I never expected he would come to the mansion on the very day of the coronation. How shameless and brazen can one person be? Then Winter spoke up again hastily and cautiously. We're in a real hurry. If you could just tell us which room is Rena's, that would be great, right? And Felix closed his eyes, replying to him firmly. Even if you meet Rena, it won't solve anything, because right now, Rena has no assets registered in her name. Felix's words immediately caused Winter's expression to change in an instant. Rena has no money? That useless daughter. She's been in that house for so long and still has nothing? If I can't meet Rena, then I have nowhere else to go. There's no other way. Then you have to help us out a little. Felix was not at all surprised by his request. Just as I thought. Very well, I will tell you what the Count can do. And Winter, as if he'd found a lifeline, hurriedly cried out, Yes, just say the word, I'll do anything. Felix smiled, his voice ice cold. Sell your title. Winter's expression changed instantly. What? That's impossible. Catherine beside him couldn't stop herself from screaming. This is unbearable. Where do you get off being so bold? And Felix just wearily glanced away. I told you what would happen if you raised your voice. Catherine gritted her teeth in frustration. What is this? Winter, calmer than his wife, frowned and questioned Felix. Didn't you say you had a solution for us? Why are you being so disrespectful now? Don't you have any other options? Felix crossed his legs, nonchalantly striking right at the man's weak spot. You'll be able to get rid of that unaffordable tax burden, and you won't have to keep chasing the empty prestige of your title anymore. Yes, but Catherine, still arrogant, held her head high and said decisively, No. No matter how poor we get, we would never stoop so low. Your family is merely a viscounty. Watch your mouth. He found their words ridiculous and spoke up with a sneer. Oh, is that so? I was under the impression you two were desperate for help from a mere viscount like myself. All right then, you two can handle it yourselves. I'll be leaving now. And Winter, losing his patience, turned and screamed at his wife. Shut your mouth. Don't listen to her. I apologize on her behalf, but that solution is just too absurd. Felix said seriously, Selling now is the most opportune time. You haven't paid taxes as a count for 8 years. The gold mine incident was never reported, not to mention that sale was illegal. He grew tense, his face breaking out in a sweat. Felix added with a sneer, The same goes for your previous business dealings. The royal family isn't aware of this yet. This is your only chance to sell the title for its true value. Winter's face went pale as he questioned Felix in disbelief. How do you know about that? Catherine immediately screamed in her husband's face, demanding, "What? Is all of that true?" Felix rested his chin on his hand, his voice laced with insinuation. "I think selling your title is the wise decision. You're still afraid of being called a fallen noble, aren't you?" Winter remained stubborn. "But if you just give us the money, we won't have to sell it. Please, just help us." Felix's gaze turned cold as he looked straight at him and asked, "And why should I do that?" Catherine screamed in a rage. "You've taken my daughter, so the least you can do is help us out a bit. Why are you being so difficult?" Felix calmly questioned them. "The amount the Despencer family paid you was up to 6,000 florins. A commoner works their entire life, and wouldn't even come close to that amount. Yet you managed to spend it all in less than 1 year, and now you're demanding more?" The man tried to say something else, but Felix cut him off. "If you sell the title as I've advised and stop seeing Jaina anymore, then I will give you 100 florins. "No!" Catherine, still greedy, yelled out in dissatisfaction. "No! If Rena gives birth to a son, how much will he be worth then? You expect us to take that pittance and stay away?" The corner of Felix's mouth curled into a contemptuous smile, and he suddenly turned his head to the side and raised a mocking eyebrow. "The wedding date isn't even set, and you're already worried about a son? Fine then, keep on waiting." Winter's face was dripping with sweat as he pleaded in a low voice. "Ah, no, please reconsider. My daughter will be the one to carry on the family line, and this is how you treat us?" Felix's voice was grave. "My family has not yet decided who will inherit the title. There's also no guarantee that it will be me. The Despencer title doesn't necessarily have to go to the eldest son." But Winter was still hesitating, and Felix, looking aloof, was ready to get up. "Whatever. If you two want to wait, then go ahead and wait. If this keeps up, I can just choose not to accept the title at all. It doesn't matter whether Rena has a son, a daughter, or no children at all." Winter was starting to be swayed by Felix's words, but with only 100 florins it was a little. He crossed his legs, bored with their greed. "With 100 florins, you could easily buy a small house in the province. If you don't like it, you don't have to accept it." "Well," Winter became flustered. "That's not it. Haha. Okay, I'll do as you say." Felix broke into a pleased smile. "That's a wise decision. Well then." He quickly slid a contract in front of him, then Felix looked him straight in the eye, coaxing, "Please sign here." Winter stared at it and asked suspiciously, "What is this?" Felix replied smoothly, "Just as you see. It's a contract to ensure you keep your promise." Winter's face paled noticeably. "No, why do we have to go this far?" So, Felix had to play hardball. "You blew through 6,000 florins in less than 1 year, so who's gonna believe your empty promises? Now, sign it." Winter hesitated, picking up the pen, a moment of internal struggle for him. After a moment of futile silence, Winter put the contract back on the table. "It's done." Felix coolly took the contract and slipped it into his pocket. Then, he warned them in a sharp voice, "You two are never to approach Rena again, or you will be reported and arrested on the spot." Catherine, still arrogant, whipped her head away and grumbled, "This is ridiculous. Do I really have to put up with this kind of treatment for money?" Annoyed by her words, Felix no longer held back. "It was for money that your daughter crashed a party she wasn't invited to, putting Rena in a difficult situation." Catherine asked, stunned. "What did you say?" "That little brat. I won't let her get away with." But before she could finish, Winter suddenly mumbled, "Still, I feel like we're the ones losing out more." But Felix leaned in toward him and whispered, "Compared to going to jail?" Winter tensed. He quickly turned his head away, not daring to say another word. Just the things that man mentioned were enough to land him in prison. If that happened, his assets would be confiscated and his title would be stripped away. Not to mention, being reported by someone with close ties to the king, he wouldn't just lose everything overnight. Ah, that's right. From the moment he sent Rena to the Despencer house, that man had planned this from the very beginning. Felix stood up, satisfied. He spoke to them with formal politeness. "I'll be taking my leave now. Remember to uphold your end of the bargain by the end of this month." Winter hastily cried out, "Wait, can't you give me a little more time to mentally prepare?" "Enough," Felix said curtly. "Mentally prepare? Or perhaps I should give Maurice some time to prepare too." Instantly, the man's body trembled as he stammered back, "No, that's not necessary, I understand. I'll take care of it within 1 month." Felix turned and walked away indifferently, leaving the two of them devastated. Watching Felix's retreating back, Catherine clutched her hair and screamed, "Oh my God, we're done for, we're done for, we're really done for. What on earth did I do to deserve being sent to prison? This is ridiculous. Ah, and Maurice, why drag his name into this?" Winter suddenly got spooked and turned away without answering her question. Is that really important right now? Don't even think about paying his tuition anymore, Maurice. I don't know who he takes after, but even his exam results weren't good enough for the number 2 academy, and he even knows about Maurice's score manipulation. That old fox, he wants to drag the blooming family down at all costs. Two carriages carrying Felix and Rena were rolling along a picturesque, snowy road. Felix leaned against the window, humming a cheerful tune, and Rena saw his incredibly happy expression and asked curiously, "You seem to be in a really good mood?" And Felix gently glanced over at her. He smiled brightly and made up an excuse. "I just love coming back to Nyssa." Rena agreed, exclaiming, "That's right. There's no place as comfortable as home." Felix looked at the snowflakes outside the window, then voiced his speculation. "Looks like the snow is going to get heavy." Rena said cheerfully, "Yeah, it's a good thing we're back before it gets any worse." They had returned to the mansion. Rena stepped down from the carriage with Felix's helping hand, and the surrounding scenery made her exclaim in excitement, "Whoa, the snow is really coming down!" "Felix, have you ever had a snowball fight?" Felix answered doubtfully. "Huh? When I was very little, with Eden, I think." So Rena immediately made a big snowball, then flashed a mischievous grin. She mercilessly threw that snowball right at Felix. Ah. Seeing his darkening expression, Rena panicked inwardly. Did I go a little too far? But then Felix suddenly crouched down, fumbling for something on the ground. He quickly formed a huge snowball, his voice dripping with malice. "You started it, Rena, so I won't comfort you even if you cry." Rena was helpless. Wait, hold on! Felix was still chasing her with his heavy artillery. "Don't run around like that. What if it hits a sensitive spot?" But Rena just kept running for her life in fear, complaining, No, that thing's too big. It'll hurt no matter where it hits." "This is small to me," Rena thought with a sigh. After getting through the eventful Obio party, that was already a while ago. Felix is still busy, but he's been going to the palace often lately. He's probably helping His Majesty. I heard that orders at Eden's shop increased rapidly after the Obio party. I received a letter saying he's so busy he has to stay up all night every day, and even though I'm a little worried, I'm relieved to see that he's happy. As for Jeffrey, he decided to spend this vacation studying hard. When I heard he might not come back, my heart felt heavy, but on second thought, I feel really proud of him. Now I'm supporting him with all my heart. Compared to everyone else who's so busy, I spend my free time drawing pictures or baking cookies every day. But today I have a special plan, which is to go back to the Ancora orphanage. Two children immediately ran out to greet Rena. With a heartbroken look, little Ami's eyes welled up with tears as she said, "Big sis, what took you so long?" Ami's been waiting for so long. Oliver, who was behind her, was also on the verge of tears and ran out too. Me too. I've been waiting for so long too." So, Rena ran over and hugged the two children tightly, then spoke in a soft voice. "I'm sorry, Ami, Oliver. Have you two been waiting long? To make it up to you, I'll buy you lots of delicious treats today, so you're not mad at me anymore, okay?" The two children immediately perked up upon hearing about the delicious food. Delicious food? Can we really eat anything we want? Rena comfortably held the two children's hands as they walked down the street. Then she gently offered, "Of course. I have plenty of money, so pick out anything you want. There were times in the past when I didn't even have enough money for bread, and Uncle Tom helped me so much back then." "Ami, you really like baguettes, right?" "Let's get a lot!" The little girl cheered excitedly. "I love them. Let's get a whole bunch so we can all eat them together." Rena and the children then walked into the bakery in front of them, greeted by the owner's cheerful voice. "Welcome!" Rena tilted her head and greeted him happily. "It's been a while, Uncle Tom." Tom came out from behind the kitchen counter in astonishment. "Miss? Oh my goodness, are you Miss Rena?" She smiled and quickly confirmed. "Yes, it's me, Rena. You still recognize me?" He was so moved his eyes welled up with tears, reminiscing about the past. "Oh my, you've gotten more and more beautiful. They're clearly taking very good care of you over there. That's really, really wonderful. Although others might not know, the people in this market, when we heard you were going to marry into that family, everyone cheered and said how wonderful it was." Rena asked, confused, "I'm sorry, what do you mean?" Tom added happily, "What do I mean? I'm talking about your husband. He must treat you very well, miss, seeing how he took care of you even before the wedding. He must be treating you very well." But his words made Rena's mind go blank. "Besides, I don't understand what you're saying." "You know Felix?" Tom was surprised. "My goodness, he didn't tell you, miss. Once a month, he comes here and gives money to everyone in the market." Rena was instantly stunned, her eyes wide. "Felix gives you money. Why?" Tom explained honestly, "What do you mean, why? He asked us to keep an eye on you whenever you came to the market, of course." The image of the help from everyone in the past suddenly flashed through the memories she had all but forgotten. Rena bowed her head as a bead of sweat rolled down her cheek. "So that's how it was." Ami suddenly called out from below, "Sister, can I get some candy?" Rena quickly composed herself and said cheerfully, "Oh, yes, of course. Pick out everything you want to eat." Amidst everyone's happy laughter and chatter, Rena stood rigidly in a corner with a somber expression. On the carriage trotting along a deserted road, the two children looked at Rena in confusion and asked softly, "What's wrong?" Rena flashed a radiant smile. He asked everyone to look out for me when I came to the market, of course. So that's what it was. The two children watched wistfully as her carriage departed, waving softly. "Sister!" And then Rena was sitting in the carriage with Evelyn. She whispered softly, "Mom, I'm such an idiot." Her mother gave her a puzzled look. "Oh, what's wrong, dear? Did something happen?" Rena shyly lowered her head. "Felix, he's been helping me for a very long time. And I had no idea." And Evelyn, also surprised, asked loudly, "What? He didn't tell you he's liked you for a long time? That's my son for you. I have no idea what he's thinking." Rena, flustered, quickly tried to explain. "No, it's not like that. He did say something, but I guess I just wasn't paying close attention." Closing her eyes tightly, lost in her own thoughts, she whispered to the longing in her heart, "I miss you. Thank you for loving someone as ordinary as me, and I want to say that because of you, I had such happy moments during that time." Just then, at another luxurious manner, Lloyd flashed a cunning smile and proposed to the person before him. "How about you take the position of my personal aide?" Felix glared at him with a less than friendly gaze. "Are you sleep-talking?" Lloyd didn't back down from his offer and continued his analysis. "You'll be the head of a family soon enough, you know. Business is fine, but a stable job is still better." Felix tilted his head back in annoyance and challenged him. "Are you trying to drive me crazy? To hold a high-ranking position like a personal aide, you need a title of count or higher." Lloyd suddenly cut him off. "Exactly. As the head of the family, you should be able to achieve that, shouldn't you?" Felix was stunned by Lloyd's words, who then smiled brightly and continued, "I have something I want to give you. I'm planning to gift you my manor." Felix turned his head away coldly. "No, I don't need it. I don't want to accept something so extravagant." He rested his chin on his hand, sharply striking at the weak spot in Felix's heart. "Is that so? The garden at my manor is famously beautiful. You know? Have you ever imagined her standing there? The image of an innocent and carefree Rena, happily running and playing around the garden, suddenly appeared in Felix's mind. Lloyd immediately seized the opportunity. Leaning towards Felix, he exclaimed excitedly, "That's a very tempting offer, isn't it? I'll give you time to think, until my wedding day." Felix stood silently, frozen with an awkward expression. That evening, Felix sat silently in his room, lost in his tangled thoughts. He hesitantly repeated that title, Count. Felix suddenly stood up and went somewhere. He suddenly walked over to his desk and sat down, the pen in his hand hesitating before touching the paper. But Felix's gaze was still filled with hesitation. Not knowing what to decide, he just sat there facing the window before him and fell deep into thought. 2. Lloyd helplessly held the letter Felix had sent him, feeling exasperated. "Felix, this guy, even though I gave him plenty of time, he's still so impatient." The letter contained only a few cold lines. "Your Majesty told me to think, so I will return to think some more. As for the previous matters, please handle them yourself." Yes. Felix was indeed sitting in a carriage, preparing to return home with a knowing smile on his lips. Rena was stunned by the information the maid just gave her. "What? Felix is here?" Deanne quickly raised a hand to remind her to lower her voice. "Yes, my lady. You're being too loud." Rena was still doubtful, but the letter said he wouldn't be back for another 5 days. Felix, who knows for how long, was standing outside the door, gently crossing his arms and watching her with a look of longing. "Can't I come back early?" Rena, surprised, stammered a reply. "How long have you been standing there?" "Ah, no, that's not what I meant. I was just a little surprised." Diane, standing beside her, could only explain helplessly. "That's why I said you were being too loud, my lady." And then, Felix smiled brightly and asked her, "Rena, would you like to go on a trip, just the two of us? I have something I want to tell you there." Rena's face, for some reason, suddenly flushed red as she repeated his words in disbelief. "A trip for just the two of us? How did things turn out like this?" So, flashing back to 9 a.m. yesterday, she remembered how Felix didn't even wait for Xena to answer before happily deciding on his own. "Looks like it's decided then, so I'll tell Mom. I think we should go soon, so how about tomorrow?" Rena, incredibly surprised at the time, exclaimed hesitantly, "Huh? That soon? I mean, I'm not busy or anything, but..." And 1 hour later, at 10 a.m. yesterday, Felix had already briskly gone down to Evelyn's room to announce, "Mom, I'm planning to go on a day trip with Xena tomorrow." She glanced at her son and remarked, "Oh my, so you don't even get a break at home, but it's good that you're so full of energy. Well, have fun and come back safely." And 3 hours later, he cheerfully asked Rena where she wanted to go. 1 p.m. yesterday. Since it's a day trip, somewhere nearby would be better, right? Is there any place you'd like to go? Rena gently shook her head. A place like that. So Felix immediately suggested a wonderful spot. Then how about Flama? It has a large lake. It'll be frozen over at this time of year. We can walk on it. Rena was immediately excited by the idea. A lake? Yes, that sounds great. And that evening at 9 p.m. yesterday, Felix walked her to her door and gave her a gentle reminder. "Well, sleep well and I'll see you tomorrow. I've already prepared everything, so you just need to show up." Rena replied softly to him, You sleep well too." There was no time to get excited. By the time she woke up, everything was already prepared. I'm on a frozen lake. Whoa, this is scarier than I thought. This ice lake? I think I finally understand how a freshly caught fish feels. Felix stared at her and remarked, "That's a bit of a different situation. That's why I told you it would be better to wear comfortable shoes. It's easier to slip in high heels." Rena confessed shyly, "But this is the first trip for just the two of us. I didn't want to look like a kid." Felix was instantly stunned by her confession, quickly covering his face and cursing himself in frustration. "I'm such a jerk. I was wrong." Rena was shocked by his words. "Huh?" He gently held out his hand to take hers. "Here, hold my hand tightly and let's go slowly." "Like this?" Rena's face paled in fear. "What if the ice breaks and we both fall through? It would be incredibly cold." Then Felix spoke with a deadpan voice. "Ah, you need to stop thinking that. When you say things like that, the ice actually breaks. I was just thinking it." Rena immediately tensed up, startled. "Ah!" But Felix immediately leaned in and said, "I'm just kidding." Rena questioned him, trembling. Why? Why would you lie like that?" "Well," Felix cheerfully answered honestly right away, because Rena's reaction was just too interesting. Rena said angrily, "I told you I was scared." Felix quickly tried to soothe her. "I was wrong, but if you make a fuss like this, the ice really will break." Ahem. A little while later, the two of them walked into a chic cafe. Rena grumbled to herself, "Seriously, Felix has been just like Jeffrey lately. His jokes are getting way out of hand." Felix shrugged, and seeing her crestfallen expression, he asked, "You don't like it when I joke like that?" Her face flushed as she looked into his eyes. Rena lowered her head, flustered. It's not that I don't like it." Felix's eyes immediately brightened, and he exclaimed, "What a relief." Felix's brilliant smile left Rena momentarily stunned. She lowered her head and suddenly announced, "I visited the orphanage recently. I also stopped by the market to buy some delicious snacks for the children." Felix was taken aback. Rena looked up and called out shyly, "I've heard everything you've done. Thank you for wanting to help someone like me, who had nothing. Back then, I thought no one would ever care about me, that I had to try harder to be acknowledged, and I never imagined I'd receive love from anyone. But more than that, you helped the miserable person I was back then. Have happy memories." As he listened intently to Rena's heartfelt words, she suddenly said gently, "Thank you, Felix." Rena's eyes were filled with love and gratitude as she looked at him. She tilted her head and happily shared her thoughts. "Because of that, I don't just like the Felix of today, but I also like the Felix I never knew." The corner of Felix's mouth twitched slightly, slowly opening as if he wanted to say something. He confessed his feelings seriously. "Rena, I've always liked you. Maybe I've liked you since the very first moment we met, and even now, I still like you so much. In the future, I will continue to like you for the rest of my life. I love you, Rena. Will you be my wife?" Rena sat stunned and motionless, not knowing what to do with the warmth blooming in her heart. "If I could, I would want to. Talk to my past self. Yes, and tell her that a very important person will appear in the future, and that you will receive the sweetest proposal in the world. Yes, I will. So hang in there. You'll definitely be happy." The two of them walked side by side down the street when Felix asked curiously, "Your birthday is coming up soon. Is there anything you want as a gift?" Rena replied cheerfully, "I already got my gift today, so it's fine." He squeezed her hand and suggested, Then how about I get you a mansion in the capital with a very beautiful garden." Thinking it was just a joke, Rena exclaimed excitedly, "What? That would be amazing." Felix suddenly leaned in and whispered, "If you don't accept it, I'll have to live there all alone." She was flustered by his words. What do you mean by that? You're joking again, right?" But at that moment, Felix gripped her hand seriously, with no trace of a joke on his face. "It's true. I'm going to be His Majesty's chief aide soon." "If you don't accept, I'll have to live all alone in the capital," Rena repeated in confusion. "Chief aide? I don't quite understand. To call it a gift, just for me, is a little much. But if it's a gift for us, I'll accept it. Yes." Ivy gently lifted her teacup, closing her eyes with a sigh of admiration. So that's how it happened." Felix and Rena's faces flushed bright red, and they quickly looked away from each other. Felix answered stiffly, "Yes." She spoke to them casually. "Well, if you two have already made up your minds, then I have no reason to object. You can take your time deciding on a wedding date. For now, congratulations to you both." After all, the rank of Count wasn't enough, so he also sent a legal representative. "It seems His Majesty is quite pleased with Felix." He bowed to her, his voice filled with gratitude. "Thank you, ma'am." Evelyn set her teacup down and then asked, "I heard you're leaving the capital today. So when will you be leaving?" She smiled and replied softly, "I plan to leave after attending His Majesty's wedding, since there's one more place I'd like to visit." She suddenly looked down, a sad expression on her face. "So that's less than 1 month from now. I've been so happy ever since you came, Rena, but now I'll be lonely again. Tears welled up in Rena's eyes as she cried out, Mother, I'll come visit often. I'll bring lots of gifts and come see you every single day. Evelyn shyly wrapped her arms around her, then teased, Oh my, Felix is going to nag me for this. A little later, as the two of them left Evelyn's room together, he suddenly asked Rena, You have an appointment with the ladies today, right? Yes. Rena answered with a radiant smile. Yes, we're meeting at the POS salon at 1 o'clock. Felix then made a suggestion. 1 o'clock is still a little early. I want to spend a little more time with you. Would you like to take a walk around the capital? Rena suddenly tensed up and quickly exclaimed, I'd love to. The carriage carrying Felix and Rena was trotting along the road. Ah, Felix folded his arms and asked her, So what are the ladies you're meeting today like? Rena recounted with a small smile. There's one who's incredibly adorable and one who's very cool. Oh, and there's also the beautiful Lady Scarlet. The adorable one is Claire Marigold. She's always so lively. Whenever she's with Scarlet, the two of them are like bickering sisters. They have a really great relationship. And the cool-looking one is Lady Sylvia Cavendish. It might be a bit rude to say this about a noble lady, but I think she looks handsome when she wears men's clothing. However, Felix felt helpless against Rena's excited rambling and asked, Is that the eldest daughter of the Cavendish family? Hearing that, Rena snapped out of her daze in surprise. She's the eldest daughter? No wonder her aura felt so mature, and Felix tilted his head, agreeing with her. That's right, even I think she's cool. From her face to her actions, I heard she's captured the hearts of many girls at the academy. She's a celebrity you can't help but know. Rena was secretly surprised by Felix's praise, as he folded his arms and continued worriedly. I'm starting to get a little worried, you know. Rena got flustered, her face turning bright red. I only have eyes for you, so don't worry. Is this a claim of ownership? This counts as marking territory, right? He was momentarily stunned by her innocent action. Just then, the voice of a servant from outside rang out. My lady, we've arrived at the salon. Rena exclaimed in surprise. We're here already? Well then, I'll be going. Rena's eyes suddenly widened when her hand was caught by Felix, who then gave her a gentle, lingering kiss. The kiss ended with Felix's confession. I love you. Have fun. Rena was so embarrassed she froze completely. The carriage was about to roll away as she stepped down. Rena watched his figure in the carriage from behind, thinking to herself, I must look so intense. Charlotte, who saw her from inside the shop, quickly called out to her. Oh my, Rena, you're here. Hurry and come in. What are you doing just standing there? She hastily explained. I just got here. Rena flusteredly said, I just arrived. I'm coming in right now. Then she dragged her feet into the shop. Rena apologized shyly. You all must have been waiting for me for a long time, huh? Scarlett cheerfully reassured her. I just got here too. Hurry and sit down. Claire's been here since early this morning, so she's the one who's been waiting a long time. Rena timidly sat down, feeling tense. I'm so sorry. If I had known, I would have come earlier. At that, Sylvia smiled. Claire only came early because she loves listening to the married ladies' gossip. Rena, you don't need to apologize. Rena stared at her, stammering a reply. I see. That's Sylvia for you. Oh no, it's just that Lady Sylvia is so cool. You're wearing a suit as usual, huh? It really suits you and looks amazing. Like a prince from a fairy tale, huh? Sylvia suddenly rested her chin on her hand, giving her a teasing, captivating glance. If that's the case, may I steal you away from Sir Felix? Rena immediately fell for her trick and panicked. Crying out loud, Huh? Sylvia chuckled as she spoke, pointing to the ring that Rena was wearing on her hand. I'm just kidding. Since you're so cute, I just wanted to tease you a bit. The curious girl's eyes immediately lit up. That ring, could it be? Sylvia was startled by their reaction. Rena stammered awkwardly in response. That thing. But before she could even speak, 10 different CEO romance scenarios had already played out in Scarlett's mind. So that's it. The cold, handsome man finally proposed. Then Claire suddenly lowered her voice, leaning close to her ear to remind her. Scarlett, we're in public. Please watch what you're saying, Rena said shyly. Well, that's how it is. Heh. Sylvia glanced at her joyfully. Congratulations, Rena. Scarlett suddenly froze solid. What perfect timing. Sylvia was confused. I can't figure out Scarlett's mood at all. Is something good happening for Scarlett too? Claire gently patted Scarlett's head as she leaned on her shoulder, then began to explain on her behalf. Because His Majesty has just ascended the throne, so there's a lot to take care of, and preparing for the wedding makes him even busier. Scarlett must be very bored and lonely. Scarlett cried out in frustration. That's right. That's why I sent a letter saying I was bored. And none of you came to visit, not even once. You're all traitors. La shrugged lightly. I'm hardly ever in the capital. The procedures for entering the capital are a pain, but Sylvia suddenly acted like a seasoned expert and lectured them. To help a friend mature, you have to cut them off. Scarlett sulkily stuck her tongue out. Huh? Traitors! I'm not sending any of you letters anymore. Soon, Rena will be in the capital too. I'll hang out with Rena, and not the two of you. Claire then shot her a dark look, coldly reminding Scarlet, do you realize you're about to become the Empress? How can the future Empress be talking like that? It's so embarrassing I could die. But over here, Rena was happily snickering to herself. Asterisk, asterisk, the first time I met Scarlet, I thought. She was a mature and arrogant person, but when she's with her friends, she acts as silly as if she were the youngest. How cute. Claire suddenly noticed her smile and began to tease her. Look, Rena is sneering at us. A flustered Rena quickly explained, no, that's not it. I wasn't sneering. It's just because Scarlet is so cute. She's truly adorable. Claire sighed. It seems Rena has finally seen Scarlet's silly side. Scarlet retorted irritably, what? When have I ever been silly? Asterisk, asterisk. That evening, after a peaceful day with her friends, Diane came upstairs toward Rena and announced hesitantly, my lady, I think you should come downstairs quickly, she asked in confusion. What's going on? Her next words made Rena's mood sink. It's... Your older sister is in the hall right now. The uninvited guest had arrived. Rena flew down the stairs and screamed at the haggard-looking Lucy. Rosie, are you insane? What is wrong with you? She trembled, continuously begging Rena for help. Rena, you have to save me. Please let me live here. She was confused by Rosie's words. What are you even talking about? Yes. After Rena heard the whole story, her gaze turned cold as she said softly, so you climbed over the wall without permission and snuck into the manor, and then Jen found you and brought you here? Jen bowed respectfully to her. Yes, I thought it best to inform you first, miss. I have not yet told the master and mistress of the house. Rena turned to Jen and said cheerfully, thank you. I'll tell Mom and Dad myself. It's getting late. You should get some rest, Jen. Yes. She bowed respectfully and slowly backed out of the room. Yes, miss. Once the two of them were alone, Rena turned her head to glare at her questioningly. Now, explain. Rosie, looking pitiful, timidly tilted her head to look at her as she pleaded desperately. I just told you, didn't I? Please let me stay here. I'm begging you, save me, Rena said, annoyed. Stop talking nonsense. Begging for what? Rosie, falling back into her old habits, asked in an irritating tone. Do you have any idea where we moved? It takes 5 hours by carriage just to get to the capital, and you think that's all? It's even worse than the charcoal woods. There's nothing but mountains all around, and the only people who live there are peasants. There isn't a single noble in sight. Most importantly, your mother is so strange. She's making me do all the things you used to do, and she's always snapping at me. Rena coolly raised her head, thinking with a sigh, well, of course, now Rosie is the only one who can be ordered around. She asked warily, how did you even get here? She lowered her head with a pathetic look. Since I only had enough money for a carriage to Bishara, I took a carriage there and then walked the rest of the way. Rena was stunned by Rosie's words. Rosie, who had never walked for long periods of time except for strolls around the capital, walked for more than 2 hours? Even if I understand how desperate she is, but... I get it. Even so, you shouldn't have come here so recklessly. This isn't my house, and I would never give Rosie permission to be here anyway. Rosie hurriedly pleaded with Rena once more. Wait, please, Rena, I'll live quietly, I promise. I'll live like a dead mouse. Her compassionate eyes softened, and her gaze dropped as her resolve began to waver. Rena looked out at the dark sky, thinking to herself, it really is too dark to make her leave now. When will I ever be free of these people? Okay, go up to the second floor and wait in the last room. Don't wander off anywhere else. And just stay in there. For 1 day only. Since it's late, I'll say it again. I'm only letting you stay for 1 night. Yes, I know. I'll be quiet and well-behaved. And then, Rena quickly knocked on Evelyn's door. Mom, I'm sorry to bother you this late. May I come in? She gently invited her in. Come in. Rena stood before Evelyn, bowing her head and whispering, Mother, I am truly sorry. A problem has come up. Surprised by her daughter's demeanor, she immediately pressed for details. What is it? What happened? Rena hesitated. Well, right now, Rosie is in our house. Evelyn shot up in a fury, slamming her hand on the table angrily. What? Her? How? Did she run away from home? I shouldn't have been so reassured by what Felix said. To have to think about a situation like this. Ha ha. So what did she say? Does she want money? Rena nervously recounted. No, she didn't say anything about money. She wants to live here. Evelyn immediately sat bolt upright in frustration. What? Where is she now? Let me talk to her. Rena hesitated and timidly suggested, just 1 day. Mom, can you let her stay for just 1 day? I'll handle it myself this time. She looked at her with a worried expression. Wouldn't it be better to let me handle it? I'm worried that person will try to pull something on you again. But Rena said confidently, I want to see this through to the end. I'll talk to her, and if it doesn't work, I'll tell you, then you can help me, okay? Evelyn stared at her, her expression full of concern. Then she calmly sat down and agreed to Rena's plan. All right, I understand. If you need help, tell me right away. She quickly bowed her head respectfully to Evelyn. Thank you, Mother. In the luxurious, well-appointed, and warm room, Lucy's footsteps moved leisurely around. She sat down on the bed, happily and comfortably drying her hair. Ha! Now this is what I call living. When is that little brat going to get here? I'm starving to death. Precious items immediately caught Lucy's eye, her gaze sweeping the room with a greedy look. Lucy thought to herself excitedly. All right, so this is what the Despencer family is like, huh? So much money that they can just throw it away on guest rooms no one uses. What's the big deal if they let me stay in one room? I'm never going back to that person. A second time. On the day of the coronation, her parents started packing their things as soon as they returned. Back then, Catherine had glared at her angrily, questioning, Did you go looking for Rena without permission? Lucy yelled back in frustration. Why do I need your permission to go find her? Her mother's eyes darkened as she looked at her coldly. A loud slap echoed as Lucy was knocked to the cold floor. Smack! There was no gold or jewel I didn't find for you. I raised you with such devotion, but you lack the one great asset needed to marry well. Do you want to climb higher now? Lucy touched her face, stunned. Mother? After that day, my mother's attitude toward me changed in the blink of an eye, and even though I don't want to think about it, it keeps popping into my head. This isn't Josie. This miserable life can't possibly be Josie's. It was like a familiar image suddenly flashing in her mind, along with the scream of a certain person. That person called for Rena, but Lucy had taken her place. Rena. She let out a faint, mocking smile at Lucy. Oh my, so it's not her. Well, it doesn't matter anyway, get to work. It was like a ticking time bomb. Ugh. Lucy clutched her head and screamed in despair. No, I'm not Rena. In her golden days, Lucy Rye's Homegood was always the one who was loved, the proud young lady of the Homegood family. A splendid dress with hand-embroidered gold thread and large gemstones accentuated her beauty, making her look like a fairy tale princess, a complete contrast to the despised Rena. Lucy recalled the image of herself when she still held power, her resolve hardening. I will absolutely not become like her. Lucy ran off into the dark night. Absolutely, I will absolutely not become Rena. I am Lucy. Suddenly, Rena coldly opened the door to Lucy's room and stepped inside. Her arrogant demeanor gone, she froze and stared at Rena. Rena's cold eyes glanced at Lucy. Hey! She pretended like nothing was wrong. Oh, you're here? Hey, Rena, I'm starving, Rena said coldly. But first, you're going to answer me. What do you plan to do from now on? She swallowed hard, choosing her words carefully. Lucy, still clinging to her fantasy, said firmly, Well, I already told you. I'm just going to live quietly here, okay? Rena questioned her again. And how exactly do you plan on living? Lucy repeated blankly. How will I live? I told you I'd just live quietly. Then, Rena clutched her head in frustration. Did you seriously not prepare anything at all? No, I was a fool for expecting anything from you. This isn't some kind of resort, so you just plan to do nothing, eat, sleep, and waste money, right? Lucy whined in protest. There are so many servants here. What am I supposed to do? Rena stepped right up to Lucy's face and said scornfully, You'd find something to do if you wanted to. Normal people don't want to live off handouts, unless they're shameless enough to demand it, like you. Lucy straightened up, pointing a finger at her as she demanded, Hey, I'm the one asking you for a favor, and you're going to talk to me like that? But Rena just glared at her and continued, You made such an absurd request. I figured you were prepared to hear things like this. Am I wrong? There's no reason for me to be treated like this here. Lucy took a step forward, then snarled, No reason? I'm your older sister. Rena hit her right where it hurt, screaming, You're always like this. You only bring up being my sister when it benefits you. Have you ever once actually acted like one? Lucy was speechless, unable to utter a single word. This is, it's so hot. What is this? What's happening? What is this? Why is this happening? Rena was horrified by the sight. Lucy continued to clutch her dress and scream, What is this? Why won't it go out? It's so hot, it hurts. Hey, are you just going to stand there watching? But Lucy's screams died down as she met Rena's gradually darkening, sinister gaze. The flames had started to reach her hair, but she didn't even bother to scream anymore. In her final moments, Lucy's life flashed before her eyes like a rewinding tape. Before her eyes, she saw that she had never helped Rena. She was just the one who always bullied Rena. She took Rena's kindness for granted and never tried to understand Rena's pain. And now, when I have nothing and don't know what to do, I'm just like the bullied Rena I used to look down on. And she, in her beautiful dress, living in a luxurious mansion, loved by everyone, she's the image I always wanted for myself. Lucy. Lucy didn't help Rena. The real Rena snapped and yelled, What are you doing? Hurry up and take off your clothes. But Lucy remained completely still, letting the flames creep closer. Rena acted quickly, ripping off her dress and then decisively throwing it aside. She swiftly cut off the strands of Lucy's burning hair. Rena quickly threw the burning things straight into the fireplace. Lucy collapsed to the floor, staring blankly at the fire in front of her. Rena suddenly grabbed her shoulders tightly, her voice filled with rage. What is wrong with you? You could have died just now, do you get that? How long are you really planning to live like this? Snap out of it. Lucy's eyes remained vacant, unable to awaken from her trance. Rena looked with confusion into her vacant eyes, as tears of regret began to stream down from the corners of Lucy's eyes. Just then, Deanne managed to open the room's door and ask loudly with concern, My lady, what's wrong? The scream from before, the chaotic scene, and Lucy collapsed on the floor, left her bewildered. Diane quickly rushed over to check on Rena. What happened? Oh my God, your hand is all burned. She calmly reassured her. I'm fine. Please take care of Lucy first. Her leg is badly burned. I can't become Lucy. Deanne quickly left the room. Oh my goodness, I'll go get someone. We can't hide this from the madam, Rena hurriedly called out. Please do. Lucy remained kneeling on the floor, despairing at the thought. In reality, I'm not Rena either. That morning, Rena woke up early and went straight to Lucy's room, softly calling, Lucy, wake up. But her eyes widened in surprise when she saw no one inside the room. Lucy, Rena's gaze shifted slightly, glancing at something. A letter was placed neatly on the table. Rena slowly walked over and picked up the letter. The letter contained only a single, scrawled line written, In a hurry, I'm sorry. Rena stared at the letter with a complicated expression. She looked up at the view outside the window and mused, I thought she would never have to say those words to me. But with just those words, I still find it hard to forgive her. Just as she needed a long time to understand me, I also need time to truly accept her apology. Perhaps this is the story that fate has in store for us. Goodbye, Lucy. A new day begins. The uninvited guest had left. Some time passed, and a momentous day arrived for the kingdom of Bennetites. It was as if the gods themselves were blessing the day. Even though it was the middle of winter, the sky was clear and blue, and warm sunlight spread everywhere. The winter bride was more beautiful than any flower, thanks to the clever arrangements of the new king, who was always worried about the treasury. If one were to ask whether the wedding was befitting of a royal, it was perhaps a simple ceremony, but I believe everyone sincerely blessed this lovely couple. The three girls were gathered together, gazing at Scarlett in her radiant wedding dress. Meanwhile, Claire had her head down, sobbing. She cried her heart out, asking herself, Sob, sob, is our Scarlett really getting married? Rena, dressed in yellow, came over to comfort her. No one is happier for Scarlett's wedding than you are, so please stop crying, Claire. Sylvia, standing nearby, wiped her face and then said shyly, Scarlett, when you got into the carriage, I was surprised to see Claire sobbing so hard. Just then, Claire suddenly looked up, her face covered in tears, and explained, I've been watching over Scarlett for so long, that's why I'm like this. Do you have any idea how dreamlike this moment is? We all hoped that she would be healthy, able to run around freely, and just enjoy the simple things in life that everyone else takes for granted. The image of Scarlett lying in her sickbed suddenly flashed through everyone's minds. Then she burst into tears again, continuing, And now she's getting married, so how can you tell me not to cry? Sylvia helplessly patted her back. I understand. But even Lady Genelis didn't cry this much. You're acting just like Scarlett's mother. Sniffle. The only thing you didn't do was give birth to her, the illustrious Scarlett of high society. Wasn't she my creation? Rena smiled at the heartwarming scene before her, thinking to herself, the reason Scarlett is so strong must be because of this. She's always surrounded by people who love her. Then, Claire turned her attention to Rena. Come to think of it, you said you'd be living in the capital starting today, didn't you, Rena? She tilted her head, replying excitedly, Yes, as of today I'm a citizen of the capital too. Then Claire, suddenly intrigued, covered her mouth and made a peculiar comment. Living in a mansion with just the two of you before you're even married? Sylvia chimed in as well, gently cautioning Rena. That's quite dangerous, you know. It wouldn't be surprising if something happened when a young man and woman lived together. Flustered, she shook her head repeatedly, explaining, No, it's not like that. There are plenty of servants there too. It won't be just the two of us. Claire teased her again with a grin. Servants can be very perceptive, you know. Rena. Blushing, Rena cried out. Ugh, you two are unbelievable. The carriage carrying Rena slowly started to roll away. Jane was humming and swaying happily in the carriage. So Rena asked her curiously, Are you that excited about moving to the new mansion? I'm so nervous, Jane quickly exclaimed. Of course, I'm a bit scared as well. However, I'm so happy that you've brought me along, my lady. Jane's words left Rena stunned. Smiling brightly at her, Rena said, At the Despencer estate, the one who always put me first and took care of me was you, Jane. Now if you weren't with me, I'd be the one in trouble. I'm the one who's truly happy to have you with me, Jane. Overcome with emotion, she rushed forward to embrace Rena. Boo-hoo, my lady! I'll be loyal to you for the rest of my life, Rena chuckled, teasing her. Oh really? After a long journey, the carriage finally came to a halt. A grand and magnificent mansion came into view, and Rena gasped in awe. Whoa, the Despencer mansion is by no means small, but this is on another level, Jane added. It's just as you'd expect from a duke's former residence. Benjamin suddenly approached and bowed respectfully before Rena. Welcome, my lady. I am Benjamin, the head butler of this estate. Ah, Rena, flustered, quickly responded. Ah, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Rena. I heard he's been working here since His Majesty's reign, so I thought he would be much older. Benjamin glanced around her, then asked, But did the master not accompany you, my lady? Rena smiled and answered truthfully. He, Felix, said he would be back in the evening. It seems he still has a few things to discuss with His Majesty, after the State Affairs meeting is over. I see, Benjamin offered politely. Is that so? In that case, allow me to show you around, my lady. First, let me show you to your room. Rena replied courteously, Yes, thank you. Benjamin's handsome features were suddenly etched clearly in Jane's eyes. She blushed shyly, staring at his retreating back. Benjamin led Rena to her room. This is the room you will be using, my lady. The master decorated it himself, while thinking of you the entire time. Surprised, Rena stammered. Really? Benjamin added. He also said that you are free to use any place you like, from the library to the study. She blushed shyly and replied, Okay. Jen excitedly pointed to a room. This room is so cute, miss. Rena nodded in agreement. You're right. I can't believe Felix decorated it like this himself. Benjamin suddenly spoke up with a suggestion. You must be tired after the big event, madam. What do you think about resting first before touring the mansion? I'll take Jen on a tour then. Jen immediately brightened up, eagerly turning to look at Rena. All right then. You probably didn't get enough sleep today anyway. Rena, understanding her expression, quickly said with a smile, I'll rest for a bit then. You two have fun. The two of them quickly walked away. Left in the quiet space, Rena tiredly flopped onto the bed. Phew, she opened her eyes. She took a look at everything around her. A strange feeling suddenly swelled up inside Rena. This will be the house I live in from now on. The restlessness of being in a completely new place, and the excitement of starting a new family with Felix here. It felt like a tickle in her heart, perhaps because the sunlight streaming into the room was so peaceful. Until Felix comes back, I'll just close my eyes for a little bit. When Rena opened her eyes again, it was many hours later. Her feet shifted slightly. Her eyes fluttered open as she glanced around, mumbling to herself in a sleepy haze. It's so dark. What time is it? I must have been in a deep sleep. Suddenly, a hand grabbed her shoulder and pulled her into a tight embrace. She felt a warm chest pressing against her back and let out a surprised gasp. Huh? Felix's peaceful face immediately came into view, causing Rena to blush furiously, her mind in a jumble. She had no idea what was going on. Just then, as if sensing her movement, Felix also slowly opened his eyes. Then Felix sleepily asked Rena, You're awake? Which startled her and made her blush even more, before he naturally pulled her into his arms again. He said dreamily, It's still dark, let's sleep some more, making Rena unbelievably shy. She lay in his arms. She mumbled, About this. Since when has it been like this? Felix casually replied with his eyes closed. Probably since last night. Hearing that, Rena stammered shyly, Sorry, I'm so sorry, I must have fallen asleep. However, Felix didn't respond to her. He just drifted back to sleep again. Seeing him like this, Rena could only think helplessly to herself, He's asleep again. He must be exhausted. After that, Rena tried to close her eyes and sleep too, but she couldn't fall back asleep. I can't get any more sleep. The situation left Rena with no peace of mind to sleep at all. Early the next morning, in the mansion, there was a knock on Rena's bedroom door. Come in. At the sound of Rena's voice, a cheerful Dion entered. Miss, Master, breakfast is ready. Since she couldn't sleep all night, Rena's face was clearly haggard and tired, with dark circles under her eyes. Rena listlessly replied to Dion, Okay, I'll be down in a minute. Dion looked at her lady with great concern. Miss, your complexion. Rena tried to explain it away. It's nothing, I just couldn't sleep. Who knew that her own words would make Dion blush, as she thought of a different meaning? Could it be? Rena then quickly dispelled that thought. It's not what you think. A while later, Rena and Felix were together in the dining room. Rena elegantly put a piece of meat into her mouth. She chewed gently and carefully. Rena, finding the atmosphere too quiet, turned to Felix to start a conversation. This is the first time it's just the two of us for breakfast, isn't it? Felix smiled at Rena and replied, That's right. Ever since you came, breakfast has always been so lively, it feels a bit strange for it to be this quiet. Then Rena asked him curiously, Are you heading out early today? Felix answered, Yes, things are going to be busy for a while, so I'll probably be leaving early and coming home late. Hearing Felix's words, Rena looked like a sad little bunny. She pouted, I see, you must be very tired. Felix took the opportunity to smile gently and asked her, Rena, if it's all right, could you pick out my clothes for today? Hearing this, Rena froze in surprise for a moment. Then she gave him a gentle smile and agreed. Yes, of course. After the meal, Rena saw Felix off. Before leaving, Felix told Rena, I'll probably be late, but I'll try my best to come home as early as I can. Rena smiled with her eyes shut and agreed, okay, be safe. But Felix didn't leave right away. He just stared at her, which confused Rena a little. Then Felix, without any hesitation, gently lifted Rena's face and gave her a light kiss, leaving Rena unable to process what was happening, as her face flushed red with embarrassment. Seeing Rena's adorable, dazed expression, Felix couldn't help but smile happily. I'm leaving now. Rena, reeling in her shyness, quietly replied, okay. Rena clutched her burning hot face, feeling embarrassed as if they were already newlyweds. Dion, who saw Rena acting like this, came over and said softly, oh my, milady, please pull yourself together. You have an appointment today, remember? Hearing Dion say that, Rena suddenly remembered, ah, that's right, let's get ready. I'm going out. Then Rena quickly went back into the mansion to change. The scene shifts to another mansion, where Claire had just spotted Rena and gleefully waved to her from afar. Rena, over here, over here! Rena hurried over to Claire, speaking breathlessly. Claire, Sylvia, I'm sorry, have you all been waiting long? Then, Sylvia rested her head on her hand thoughtfully. I was wondering what was so important, that you couldn't tell us yesterday and had to meet privately like this? I was so curious I could barely stand the wait. Claire, sitting opposite her, rested her chin on her hand and chimed in. So you weren't going to tell us until we all gathered for a private meeting? I'm dying of curiosity. And Rena, awkwardly fiddling with her thumbs, announced to them, well, actually, my wedding date with Felix has been set. Since His Majesty's wedding is coming up, we didn't discuss it for a while. I felt it would be rude to accept congratulations beforehand. Hearing this, both Sylvia and Claire gaped in astonishment. Oh my god, you've already picked a date? Goodness, how could you keep this to yourself for so long? Well, Rena said shyly, it hasn't been that long and I really wanted to tell you. Claire leaned forward, pouting. We just married off Scarlett yesterday, and now Rena too. Who am I supposed to hang out with now? You're saying that right next to the person who has been hanging out with you? All this time? Sylvia's face darkened as she reminded her, if you're a friend, you're supposed to congratulate her, not make demands. Then Sylvia also couldn't help but gently chide Rena. Of course we have to congratulate you, it's just that I'm a little sad, that's all. Claire even pouted, saying, alright, if it's for Rena's bouquet, Claire will just get married all cool and detached. Really? Would you really do that, Claire? Even though I don't like anyone, Claire said, pointing to herself. I can't just let Rena's wedding bouquet go to some other girl. Hearing that, Ren's eyes sparkled as she thanked Claire, which made Claire very happy. I'm the one who made the request, but Rena seems more excited, doesn't she? Ren's eyes twinkled as if they held the entire galaxy. She clasped her hands together and beamed. So I can really get the wedding bouquet at Claire's ceremony then? Just then, Claire turned to Sylvia. I heard from my mother that Marigold is also in marriage talks. Sylvia chimed in. Our mothers being friends is a dangerous thing. Looking at all this fuss, I'm guessing Claire's doctor has something to do with it. Ren's eyes immediately lit up with gossip. Is that true, Claire? Do you have someone you like? Claire, flustered, whipped her head away. Claire doesn't know anything. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Ren's eyes sparkled as she stared at her friend, hoping Claire would reveal just a little more. But Claire just covered her ears, pretending she couldn't hear a thing and getting up to escape. Arg, so annoying. I'm going for a walk. She was totally running away out of embarrassment. She hasn't changed a bit since she was 10 years old. The little hyena followed close behind, despite Claire's protests. It's not like I'm in love. Stop following me. Behind them, Sylvia let out a teasing chuckle. I want to hear Claire's love story too. Ren's eyes danced with delight. She's blushing. It's definitely love. It is. Come on, tell me. Ren kept trotting along behind Claire, teasing. You're so embarrassed. It's totally love. It is. Tell me everything. Claire just kept running. Ren, you're just like Scarlett, turning into a total busybody. Help me, Sylvia. Sylvia just smiled sweetly. How could I possibly stop the Countess? Meanwhile, Felix was handing Lloyd an invitation. Looking at the invitation on the desk, Lloyd asked, What's this? You've set the date? Felix gave a slight nod to confirm. Felix smiled and said, Even though your Majesty can't attend, it's proper etiquette to invite you, which made Lloyd wave his hand in annoyance. And why can't I go? Now that you say that, I absolutely have to. Felix just laughed. You can say that all you want, but you still can't make it. For a king to leave the royal palace empty, just to attend the wedding of a mere count, would that really be okay? Seeing the smug look on Felix's face, Lloyd scowled. You look awfully pleased with yourself. Felix grinned. Is it that obvious? Yeah. Lloyd turned away, grumbling. Yeah, must be so nice. Waking up in a mansion with just the two of you? With the woman you've loved for half your life, how could you not be happy? Lloyd was feeling sorry for himself. Meanwhile, I'm so busy I could barely see my own wife even on our honeymoon. It's truly pathetic. To that, Felix just gave a stiff little bow. My workday is over, and with nothing else to attend to, I'll be leaving now. This only made Lloyd more miserable. That is the most soulless condolence I have ever received, Felix beamed, placing a hand over his heart in a farewell gesture to Lloyd. The woman I'll love for the other half of my life is waiting for me. Ha ha, you are absolutely infuriating. Lloyd could only scowl in frustration. Oh dear ancestors, your beloved grandson is coming home. As dusk began to settle, Lloyd quietly went out to the courtyard, sat down on a bench by himself, and let out a little sigh. I wonder if this can be considered good news? The eldest son of the Despencer family is getting married next spring. Lloyd placed the invitation on the bench beside him, silently recalling the last words of Philippe, the man who loved Lily Despencer until his final breath. It's been passed down through generations of the Conwell family, with some paying it no mind, while others couldn't find a way to fulfill it. I first saw that will when my father passed away, and I had to inherit the title, and at first, I ignored it. That Felix was an ancestor I'd never met, not some king praised by history, so I had no reason to bind my life to his wishes. I was expected to live by that will simply because I was born a Conwell. I didn't want that at all, being an arrogant, stubborn, and annoyingly intelligent person. I thought that way until I met Felix Despencer. That will was full of long-winded ramblings, taking up as many as 6 pages. If you summed it up in one sentence, it was a plea to protect the Despencer family. The novel about the story between Felix and Lily was very well written. Most of the content matched the will, so I'm guessing someone in the Conwell family must have read the will and then wrote the novel. However, there's one thing that wasn't written in the novel. 15 years after Lily left, Philippe found her. Lily was discovered in a remote southern village, and they said she had married, living with a grown son. Though Philippe only watched from afar, Felix prayed for Lily's happiness and then returned home. But when he returned to the palace, while drowning in his sorrow, that Felix suddenly thought of something. Perhaps that boy was his son. The child's age corresponded with the time he and Lily had been apart, and the boy's eyes were the same color as his. Regretting that he hadn't realized it sooner, he went to that place one more time. But Lily and her son were no longer there. From then on, he became so obsessed that he had the entire Conwell family of that time pour all their resources into searching for Lily Despencer. By the time she was finally found, Philippe had already passed away and his son was an old man. The ducal house of Conwell continued to try to protect the Despencer family, but protecting commoners like them as equals was no easy task. Thinking of this, Lloyd looked up at the sky and mused. If our ancestor hadn't tried so hard, the Despencer family would never have become nobles or acquired the wealth they have today. Then he praised himself. But honestly, I'm just as great as my ancestor, right? I'm the only one who genuinely wants to be friends with a Despencer after all. Lloyd leaned back and chuckled. That Felix probably wanted to get married, but his family treasures its daughters too much. Are they really going to let a Conwell lady marry into a baron's family? Besides, it's not like I can marry a man. Lloyd even imagined the scene of Felix wanting to punch him if he proposed. I probably would have gotten punched right then and there, huh? Even so, Lloyd then thought pensively, but who knows what'll happen next time? Sitting under the afternoon sun, Lloyd simply addressed his forebears. Just wait a little longer, my dear ancestors. Who knows? Maybe I'll bring even better news next time. Elsewhere, Rena was quietly taking in the fresh air, and time seemed to fly by. Like the eager feelings in my heart for Rena, the winter that hid the green grass and flowers was slowly retreating, and spring with its gentle breezes had arrived. I am now in Nisa preparing for the wedding, while Jeffrey frustratedly threw down the cards in his hand. I lost again, Rena. How are you so good at this? And Rena, holding 2 cards in her hand, smiled triumphantly. Don't underestimate someone who only knows how to paint, bake, and play games like me. Hearing that, Jeffrey puffed out his cheeks and pouted. I play all the time at school, but what can I do if you're just too good, Rena? Eden leaned his hands on the back of Jeffrey's chair. Teasing. Whining after you've lost just makes you look more pathetic, Jeffrey. At that moment, Rena looked over at Eden, full of excitement. She wanted to invite Eden to play too. Eden, come on and join us! Eden tilted his head and smiled. Mom's waiting for you in her room, Rena. You have to try on the newly altered dress, right? Hearing that, Rena's eyes widened in surprise. Yes. She immediately stopped playing cards and ran off. Okay, I'm going right now. See you all later. On her way, Rena joyfully recalled the dress Eden mentioned, his mother's dress. It was from about 2 months ago, when Evelyn had held it out and asked her, Rena, would you like to wear this dress? At the time, Rena looked at the dress, her eyes sparkling. It's so beautiful. Seeing Rena's expression, Evelyn smiled gently. Really? I'm so glad you like it. Afraid Rena might feel forced, Evelyn added, but this style isn't the most recent trend, so if you don't like it, please feel free to say so. Rena quickly protested. I don't dislike it at all, it's absolutely beautiful. Evelyn cherished the dress in her hands as she told Rena, I'm so happy to hear you say that. This is the dress I wore at my own wedding. This is our family's most precious heirloom. If I had a daughter, I really wanted to give it to her. After having 3 sons, I had given up on that dream. Evelyn smiled warmly at Rena, then she sincerely offered, but finally, I have a daughter. Would you fulfill this wish for me? This moved Rena so much that her eyes welled up with tears. A dress this important. I want to wear it. I'll definitely wear it. Rena clasped her hands together and looked at Evelyn with determination. Evelyn smiled kindly. I'm so happy to hear that. Do you want to try it on? Rena nodded firmly. Evelyn continued. It might be a little big on you, so I'll have to get it altered to fit. If possible, let's change it a little bit, to match the newer, more popular styles. We have a talented designer in the family, so we can just let him do it. This made Eden's heart flutter when he heard it. Now, arriving at the door to Evelyn's room, Rena was incredibly excited to see that dress. I wonder how it turned out. I'm so nervous. Rena gently opened the door, peeking her head in to greet Evelyn. Mom, I'm here. And Evelyn, sitting in a chair, looked towards Rena and called out, Come in, Rena. I knew my son was skilled, but it seems he's even more talented than I thought. He did a beautiful job. Go ahead and try it on, dear. Rena's eyes lit up with excitement. After a while, Evelyn let out a sigh of relief. Phew, all done, Rena. Modern fashionable clothes really do have so many sparkly details. Rena readily agreed. They really do. Since it's a wedding dress, I'm sure Eden was very meticulous. Evelyn looked at Rena before her, very pleased. In any case, you look so beautiful, my daughter. Rena was wearing a pale pink dress, with a floral headband in her hair, making her look even more stunning. Mother Evelyn affectionately hugged Rena. How can you be this adorable? Making her so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed, Mother. The sound of approaching footsteps echoed from the hallway, and then Felix's figure appeared walking in from outside. Mother, I'm home! It was only then that he realized Evelyn was with Rena. Rena turned her head at the sound of Felix's voice, smiling brightly at him. Felix, you're here early? Come on in. Seeing the beautiful Rena before him, Felix was stunned by her beauty, and after a moment, he blushed and shyly looked away. Ah, right, the dress is altered, isn't it? It suits you very well. Just then, Evelyn quickly stepped in front of Felix, covering his eyes. No more peeking, you little rascal. What's the point of seeing it so early? Felix replied in a daze. It's no use. I've already memorized it for a lifetime. His words made Rena blush in an instant. Ah, I'll change quickly and be right out, she said, rushing inside to change, with Evelyn hurrying after her. Oh dear, sweetie. You can't take that dress off by yourself. The two left a still blushing Felix outside, reminiscing about the sight of Rena in her dress. Felix couldn't hold back his joy, covering his flushed face with his hands. I'm so happy. Just then, Eden appeared out of nowhere behind Felix. You're grinning from ear to ear. It made Felix try to contain his joy, as Eden continued to tease him. It's thanks to you that I got to see such a beautiful sight, right? Although a bit embarrassed, Felix couldn't help but praise Eden. You did a great job this time. Eden casually sat on the nearby sofa, as it seemed everything was being prepared smoothly. Luckily, the garden was now awash in pink. An exhausted Felix then sat down opposite him, at first feeling guilty for leaving everything to his mother and father, but now all he could feel was gratitude. Just then, Felix suddenly asked Eden a question. Eden, isn't there anyone suitable for you? Eden was immediately taken aback by the question and quickly said, If you're gonna ask me about that, it's so embarrassing I could throw up. But Felix continued seriously. If this goes on, you might end up marrying someone you don't want. It's time to think about it seriously. But Eden remained completely unfazed. There's no need. As for you, marrying someone you love like His Majesty, that's something truly special and rare. Eden simply said, I just want to do work I enjoy, and then marry someone my parents approve of, and live a modest life, neither lacking nor having too much. Felix asked Eden seriously, Are you really okay with that? Well, Eden trailed off pensively. Just then, Jeffrey appeared from out of nowhere, leaning on the back of Eden's chair. As for me, I'm going to marry the one I love. Then, Jeffrey cheerfully announced to his brothers, By the way, I have a girlfriend. This left both of them staring in disbelief, the utter shock from the sudden announcement written all over Felix and Eden's faces. You! I sent you to the academy to study, and all you did was date? And Jeffrey completely scorned his brother's thinking. Geez, what an old-fashioned way of thinking. Why are my brothers so stuffy? Felix then spoke up to ask, Who is this girlfriend? And since when have you known her? Jeffrey stretched and casually explained, It's Angela, the second daughter of the Viscount Silver Beach family. We've known each other for about 3 months, brother. Hearing this, Eden turned to Jeffrey and complained, What? You kept something like this a secret for 3 whole months? Jeffrey, however, didn't think it was a big deal. Who reports every single date to their family these days? You guys are so old-fashioned. Hearing that, Aiden was livid. He turned to Felix to demand justice. Look at him. How dare he say such incredibly disrespectful things to his older brothers? What on earth are they teaching you at the academy? Felix bowed his head and thought, how much must he mistrust me for Jeffrey to have complained non-stop for 3 whole months? My brothers are such a pain. On the other side of the room's door, Rena and Yvelli had heard everything Jeffrey said. Rena looked at her excitedly. Mom! Yvelli was also overjoyed. What is it, Rena? Our family is never short on good news. The two of them cheered with joy, and that evening, the whole family of 6 gathered for dinner together. Alex sat in the middle and said cheerfully, it's been a long time since the whole family had dinner together like this, hasn't it? Eden readily agreed. That's right, everyone has been so busy lately. Suddenly Alex cleared his throat. He hesitantly asked Eden, your shop seems to be doing quite well, doesn't it? Eden was a little taken aback by his question. Then she replied cheerfully, of course it has to do well. You and Mom helped me so much, after all. Alex, exposed in an instant, tried to deny it. I didn't help with anything. And Evelyn, sitting beside him, just calmly sipped a glass of wine. If you've been caught, you might as well own it to look cool, dear, making Alex too embarrassed to look Eden straight in the eye. This just made Eden laugh. Eden even pretended to blame her mother. Although you helped me a little too much, Mom. Are you trying to work me to death? To Evelyn, being busy with business was the greatest happiness. Why are you already complaining? Eden said gloomily. Why do you keep pushing me to become a businesswoman? I'm a designer, so I should be allowed to say extravagant things once in a while. Rena watched this scene from the side. She rejoiced inwardly. I was once so worried I was shaking, afraid his parents would object. But if they're helping her like this, it must mean they've both accepted Eden, right? What a relief. And Rena broke into a bright, satisfied smile. Just then, Evelyn looked over at her and praised. Ever since Rena joined our family, only good things have happened. Being mentioned so suddenly left Rena a bit bewildered, huh? Then Alex chimed in with his wife, praising his young daughter-in-law. That's right, Rena is our family's good luck charm. Then Eden teased that she's the gift our eldest brother chose, isn't she? Jeffrey, beside her, also sighed in agreement. Right. If it weren't for Rena, our family would be so dull, I probably wouldn't even bother coming home for the holidays. His words made Rena even more embarrassed, huh? Rena stared blankly at everyone. Why all of a sudden? Rena, blushing furiously, tapped her hands on the table. Are you all teasing me? Eden replied. We're not teasing you. Rena looked to Felix, wanting him to back her up. Felix. To her surprise, Felix just smiled and agreed with everyone. Just accept it. That's the weight of being so well loved. To everyone in the family, Rena was a godsend, a good luck charm. Hearing everyone praise her in unison, Rena got very shy. Everyone, please stop teasing me. As the sky gradually darkened, Felix, having just finished his shower, sat on his bed and sighed. Just then, Rena quietly approached. She knocked on the door from outside. This made Felix wonder, who could it be at this hour? Rena spoke softly from the other side of the door. It's me. Rena, are you sleeping? Hearing her voice, Felix was immediately surprised. He quickly denied it. Ah, no, I'm not asleep. Come in, Rena. Rena slowly opened the door and entered, peeking at Felix from behind it, completely flustered. Seeing this, Felix gently asked her why she was still awake at this hour. Rena hesitated, not daring to look Felix in the eye, and said that lately in the capital, they've always slept together. Her words left Felix stunned for a moment. Then, Rena gathered all her courage and said, so, sleeping alone feels a bit strange. Hearing that, Felix's face quickly flushed red. Is she trying to make my heart stop? When Felix didn't say anything, Rena felt dejected and turned to go back to her room. I'm sorry if I bothered you. Felix spoke gently. You know that's not true at all. Come here. He smiled lovingly at Rena, and seeing him, her face began to blush as well. Then, she slowly walked over to Felix, and they happily wrapped their arms around each other. A moment later, Felix looked at Rena and teased, Did you have a nightmare? This made her look at him in surprise. How did you know? Felix simply replied nonchalantly, Who's the one who's been sleeping next to you recently? Rena laughed shyly. Felix, you seem to know everything about me. Felix held her as they lay down on the bed. Not at all. There are plenty of things I don't know. He raised an index finger, for example. How Rena is feeling on the eve of our wedding, for instance. Rena then said that if Felix tells me how he's feeling before the wedding, then I'll tell him too. But Felix looked at her with a steady gaze. That doesn't even need to be said. It's so obvious. Felix's eyes were overflowing with a happiness he couldn't hide. I'm so excited I could die. This is something I've wished for my entire life. Rena replied in turn, Well, you've waited longer than I have, but I feel the exact same way. Right now my heart is fluttering so much, I feel like it could burst. But suddenly, an indescribable sadness appeared in Rena's eyes. But I'm also a little scared. Is it really okay for only good things like this to keep happening? It feels like only people who are used to happiness can truly enjoy it. My life is now filled with so many good things. and I'm about to experience the happiest moment of my life. Felix listened intently beside her, not interrupting her at all, just quietly listening to Rena pour her heart out. A moment later, Rena turned to Felix with a sheepish smile, and yet, my feelings of fear and anxiety just keep getting stronger. I'm weird, aren't I? To her surprise, Felix bluntly replied, yep, leaving Rena completely stunned. Felix tucked a strand of her hair behind her ear and slowly added, but being weird isn't necessarily a bad thing, from now on. Rena will learn how to fully enjoy happiness, and I'll make sure to help you get there. He smiled brightly at her. His words left Rena a little stunned at first, but she couldn't help but feel happy. Then, they both embraced each other. Happily, Rena smiled and replied, okay, I'm counting on you, Felix. On the wedding day, the sky was perfectly clear. Everything was prepared meticulously and looked spectacular. Claire reached up to fix her hair. Sylvia, is my ribbon crooked? Does it look okay? Sylvia replied softly from beside her. Yeah, it's fine, it looks really cute. Super cute, even. Just then, Scarlett walked over to them and couldn't resist teasing Claire. Anyone who saw you would think you're the one getting married, Claire confidently declared. Today, Claire is going to be the one to catch the bouquet. She's the most important person here after the bride and groom. This made Scarlett grab her head playfully. Just listen to yourself talk. What a risky thing to say. Claire changed the subject. And Scarlett, you came too? Honestly, I thought you wouldn't be able to make it. Scarlett rubbed her nose proudly and said, Hee, of course. I'm Rena's very first best friend, after all. Scarlett pointed with a bright smile. Even a queen has to take a day off. That's what being a best friend is all about, which made Claire feel incredibly judgmental. Scarlett, you're the one saying risky things. Sylvia, who was nearby, also said, I'll pretend I didn't hear anything. Then Sylvia asked, but it looks like you really did escape this time, huh? You look just like a fugitive. Scarlett, beautiful ladies, may I join your conversation? This attracted the attention of all three girls. When Scarlett turned to look, she felt a strange sense of familiarity. So, Scarlett quickly snatched off the man's hat and glasses. Hey miss, what do you think you're doing? This left the other two girls to just watch helplessly. Then as Claire and Sylvia looked at the man, they also began to realize, could it be? It turned out the man was no stranger at all, but Lloyd. Lloyd pretended to be pitiful as he scolded Scarlett. Really, Scarlett, you're just too violent. Seeing this scene, Claire and Sylvia couldn't help but think to themselves, what a troublesome couple. Scarlett kept hitting her husband, complaining, you're insane, absolutely insane. How dare you come here? It's one thing for me to be here, but you can't be. Lloyd said back to her, no, you can't be here either. Lloyd, with tears welling in his eyes, put on a dramatic show. Ow, that hurts. It's too cruel if I'm the only one not allowed to come. I'm the groom's only friend, you know. Just then, Eden was slowly strolling towards them. Claire caught a glimpse of Eden, so she quickly warned Lloyd and his wife. Scarlett, your majesty, we have an emergency. The second son of the House of Despencer is approaching, causing Scarlett to scramble. Wait, put this back on. She quickly handed the hat back to Lloyd, just as Eden arrived. He greeted them politely. Lady Sylvia, Lady Claire, thank you both for coming. Are the dresses fitting and comfortable for you? Claire teased. Are the dresses fitting and comfortable? It fits so perfectly it feels like I was born wearing it. This made Sylvia quickly cover Claire's mouth and try to smooth things over. Lady Claire is just very nervous, you see? Please excuse her. She tends to speak a bit crudely when she's nervous, but Eden was very relaxed. Not at all, on the contrary. I find it quite amusing. I was simply asking for your feedback. I'll take my leave now. Please continue your conversation. As he was about to leave, Eden paused for a moment. He turned back and gestured toward Lloyd and his wife. I'll keep it a secret that two very distinguished guests have paid us a visit. Eden's comment immediately made all four of them freeze, each breaking out in a cold sweat. I can't believe it. He knew the whole time. Meanwhile, Eden, cheerfully, hummed a tune as he strolled away. They really are an interesting bunch. Meanwhile, Rena was holding her wedding bouquet, her heart, silently wondering, once the wedding is over, how will Felix and I have changed? What if something goes wrong? What if Lucy or my parents show up again? Rena's heart was filled with unease. What if they ruin everything? She quickly shook her head to banish the useless worries. Stop overthinking, everything is going to be fine. It has to be that way. Just then Felix, looking worried in his suit, walked over to her. Rena, are you okay? Looking at him, Rena was at a loss for words. Felix, I want to say I'm fine, but I'm not fine at all. I'm so worried. What if something goes wrong? What if everything is ruined? She looked wearily at Felix. So he placed a light, comforting kiss on her head. It's all right. Rena looked at Felix, feeling hurt, as he said with a bright smile. Then I'll get scolded right along with you. But Rena was adamant. That won't do. It's our big day, and so many people are here. But Felix thought for a moment, then said, well, instead of getting scolded, we'll just become a laughingstock. That didn't seem to discourage Felix at all. In fact, he seemed quite happy about it. No matter what, we'll become a laughingstock, and then we'll get scolded together. After all, when I mess up, you do the same thing for me. And to keep doing this in the future, we have to get married today. His words moved Rena deeply. Felix rested his forehead against hers. It's okay if there are slip-ups. It's okay if things get ruined. Just don't be afraid. Felix gave Rena a radiant, encouraging smile. It would be a real shame if you remembered today as a scary day. After all, today is a very important day. A moment later, the wedding officially began. The MC gestured towards the door to welcome the couple. He invited the bride and groom to enter the hall. Please give them a big round of applause. Hearing this, Felix then offered his hand to Rena and asked, "Shall we?" Rena smiled and took his hand, agreeing. "Yes, Felix." The two of them then walked down the aisle together. Sometime later, Scarlett was once again filled with anxiety. Those two were so beautiful on that day. I thought Rena would forever remain as pure as a spring bride, such an innocent girl. Scarlett gazed out the window, unable to help but sigh. She even blamed the heavens for being so cruel. How could they treat such an innocent child this way? This made Claire, who was standing to the side, complain. "Hey Scarlett, Rena is still alive, you know. Stop talking nonsense and hold your breath." Rena, who was right there, agreed. "Seriously, we can't mess this up today. Pull it tighter. We're representing the kingdom after all." The outfit was so tight it made Scarlett want to cry out. "How can you do this to me? My ribs are going to break. I'm telling you, they're breaking." But Rena just ignored Scarlett's wailing. And just like that, Claire got the hint. "All right, tie Scarlett's dress tighter." Once the dress was on, Scarlett looked ready to collapse. Damn it, what kind of fashion is this? But Rena and Claire just happily high-fived each other. Mission complete. It has been 7 years since I married Felix. I have been a lady-in-waiting for Scarlett and Claire for 2 years now. Unlike a common maid, this is a position only a noble can hold, so the work isn't too difficult. When no one's looking, they sometimes act like children. Thanks to that, there are many times I don't even feel like I'm working. But the biggest reason I'm so happy with this job is that I get to see my husband while he's working. Just then, Felix happened to glance out the window. When he saw what his wife was up to, a giant question mark appeared over his head. When Rena saw Felix looking back at her, she just gave him a big smile. Then she gave him a little wave. Busted. But who would have thought this would make Rena lose her grip on Scarlett? Whoops. And then they all went down with a crash. It made Felix stare in a daze, and the noise was so loud that even Lloyd, who was working, had to grimace and look outside. What is going on? Before Lloyd's eyes was the sight of his wife and her 2 friends in a pile on the floor, leaving both him and Felix utterly exasperated. Lloyd asked wearily, "When on earth are our ladies ever going to grow up?" And Felix, just as exasperated, silently agreed. "My wife seems to have gotten even more childish since becoming a lady-in-waiting." The 2 husbands could only sigh, powerless to do anything. Oh dear. Scarlett was on top of Gyra. "Rena, how could you be so distracted?" Rena replied innocently. "It's because I made eye contact with Felix, so..." Claire, pinned beneath both of them, could only helplessly cry out, "Could you two please get up first?" Just then, an adorable little boy quickly ran over. "Mommy, are you okay?" Scarlett knelt to catch him. "Oh my sweet boy." "Mommy's darling, did you come because you were worried about me?" The little boy asked Scarlett with a teary face. "Yes, are you hurt?" "It looked like a really bad fall, Mommy." Then Claire came over and said, "Your Highness, I became a super soft cushion for your mother. The Queen didn't get hurt at all." The little boy excitedly grabbed Claire's hand. "Thank you, my lady, for protecting my mother." Just then, Lloyd also stepped outside, bowing slightly as he teased, "I suppose I should thank you as well, my lady. Thank you for shielding my wife." Lloyd's voice gradually took on a menacing tone. "Thanks to you ladies who often come over to play with my troublesome wife. My worries never seem to end, really." Felix, standing behind him, said nothing but nodded vigorously in agreement. This made all 3 ladies turn away, not daring to meet their gazes. Claire pouted and complained, "We're getting an earful again because of Scarlett." Scarlett just shifted the blame to them. "Well, you're both at fault too for not stopping me," Rena said helplessly. "I was going to stop you, but to be honest, I was curious too." Just then, 2 children came rushing over. "Mommy! Daddy!" This made Felix freeze on the spot, and hearing their voices, Rena was just as stunned. The couple immediately turned and yelled in unison, "Nelson, Stella, no running." The 2 children instantly skidded to a halt. Lloyd and the others behind them saw the scrapes on Nelson's leg and immediately understood. It seems he falls down a lot. A knowing look passed between the parents. Rena, holding Stella, bowed her head apologetically. I'm so sorry. I have no idea how they got in here." Meanwhile, the 2 people in charge of watching them, Eden and Jeffrey, were already knocked out cold in the courtyard. The servants who took them out for a walk had fallen asleep, completely drained by the stamina of the 3-year-olds. Lloyd waved his hand dismissively, smiling graciously. "Don't worry about it. This is their parents' workplace, so of course they can come visit." Scarlett knelt down to look at the 2 children. She smiled brightly and praised them. Stella and Nelson, my, you've both gotten so big. The two children bowed very politely to Scarlet. Greetings, Your Majesty, Queen Scarlet. Scarlet looked like she was about to melt from the cuteness. Oh my. You're so adorable. How can you be so bright? Just then, Lloyd's son noticed little Stella. He said to Lloyd, Father, father, the doll is talking, while pointing at Stella. Everyone froze in astonishment. Stella tilted her head, not understanding what he meant. A doll? At that moment, Felix stood behind Lloyd, radiating a murderous aura, his warning glare making Lloyd break out in a cold sweat. Lloyd hastily backed away from Felix. After clearing his throat a couple of times, Lloyd quickly announced, Wonderful, everyone is dismissed early today. Go on home and enjoy a lovely dinner with your dear families. We all need a day like this every now and then. Seeing Lloyd like that, Scarlet felt sorry for the poor emperor. Afterward, Felix and his wife rode home together in the carriage. Inside, Rena smiled brightly. Eden and Jeffrey were really being run ragged by the little ones. It was hilarious. Just then, Felix gently rested his head on her shoulder, and when Rena turned to look, she noticed all three of them were already fast asleep. Oh my, Rena smiled gently. It seemed the father and his two children were exhausted. A moment later, the carriage arrived at the mansion. Rena found herself quietly wondering, how have Felix and I changed since we got married? Perhaps we've changed in so many ways. We have become each other's happiness. Thank you for watching today's video. Our story still continues with many exciting developments ahead, so don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons to support us, and so you don't miss the latest chapters. We wish you a relaxing and joyful time. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching.